Oh, I think
She ended up coming in, but it was even after, by 9. He's calling me at 7:30. I'm here. I can't get in. I'm like, chill out. We'll be there. Yeah.
Will you do reconciling?
We had a man killed by his cat pit bull along the side, and then his daughter-in-law. There's a big
this is go to.
His daughter-in-law was the responding paramedic, and she said it was a horrible thing. She's the dog was said that the man attacked with a
Did you I've got check.
and the dog by this time was
this
back to the pet mode,
this
sitting there
is
guarding him. And it would just snap and snap. Well, I have two, and it's.
Okay, Tom, go sit down.
I'm a. I had hoped it would, but.
Name, address, phone number, right arm.
We will be starting the council meeting at 6:05. If you're looking for the sign up, it's over here. Since we ran late with the public hearing.
Ever heard of?
Doesn't help anybody.
Mine by all means.
Steve,
What do
can you
have a
give?
phone or a,
Here.
I can write it on paper too. I got plenty of paper. You caught me. 86, baby. Oh, you must be living right because I
Yeah,
wouldn't
he's
have
got
guessed
it on there.
All right, let's see how fast I can. Oh yeah, you can just take a
He did.
screenshot
He
of this,
signed
whatever you
up.
want to do. Oh gosh. Yeah. And I am on the website. This is actually my personal cell because I don't know my desk phone offhand. But that's fine. That's fine. Yes. Yeah. Yeah. Oh, sorry, my chicken scratch. Yeah. Yeah. Well, I'll write yours down right here, or you can send me a text right now, whichever. Okay.
What number?
And let me leave you for 2 seconds.
No, that's not going to happen today. Did you have your meeting with him?
Just make sure that that man's got your information, and we'll put something out on Facebook.
Okay.
Huh?
2 minutes.
Well, we haven't part is about that 9/11, right?
Okay. Okay. Did everybody put their address down? Okay. If the, I'm.
Don't think too hard about it. You're like me. I start, and then when you got somebody standing over your shoulder watching you type, that never helps.
Yes, that weird number is going to be me.
Okay.
It's a 678-600 number.
Okay.
So.
But you just texted me, right?
I did.
Okay. Right. Let me
Yes.
make sure it came through. Watch it.
How do you like that phone?
Did I give you? Did you get my number down right? It went to somebody. It looks like 960-8237. Well, how odd. You just sent something?
You know what? Check your, maybe it's spam.
Oh,
There
here.
it is.
It just wasn't showing in my preview screen. Okay, wonderful. I've got your info. Yes, we can connect and talk more. Coffee, lunch, whatever we need to do.
Definitely. I definitely would love to find out.
The meeting.
4 minutes. My name will be.
I need for the chamber to please come to order. It is 6:05, July 22nd, 2024, and we will be opening up with a prayer from Pastor Greg Clark, who's with the Sylvan Hills Church of Christ. Please come forward.
Let's pray.
Almighty Father, we thank you for another beautiful day in Sherwood. Thank you for your outpouring of blessings upon this city. We realize that we have something special here with the resources, the talent, the energy that is present here. And Father, we pray for each citizen in this community. We pray that there will be calm in the homes, that there will be peace and love, that our children can be in safe places and be educated, that they may thrive. Father, I want to pray for our growing Latino community, that they would find a safe place here to grow as well. And for all races and nationalities, Father, we know that we're better when we work together. Father, I thank you for each council member here, for their dedication, for their determination to make decisions that are best for this city. Thank you, Father. Bless them, and thank you for our mayor and for her leadership, for her energy. And I just pray, Father, tonight as decisions are made, that after there's the debate, after there's the disagreements and discussion, that we can come together for the very best decision. And Father, as one who has rescued dogs in the past, I'm mindful of the big decision tonight with the pit bulls. And Father, it's a big one, and I just pray that you'd give them wisdom and discernment in making this decision, as there are so many happy dogs, good dogs, and so many angry and hurt dogs of all breeds. Father, bless their decision tonight. We thank you, Father, for Sherwood. It is a tribute to the leaders of years gone by that we stand here tonight with such strength. Thank you, Father, in Jesus' name. Amen.
Amen. Please rise for the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Before we begin tonight, just to kind of go over a little bit of the rules about how city council meetings work. First of all, thank you for everyone who took the time out of their days to come up here. And we do understand that we do have a controversial issue that is to be discussed tonight. But please be respectful. There is no applause. There's no, booing. We really ask for decorum and to be respectful of people, whether you agree with their opinion or not tonight. Roll call, please.
Brooks. Here. Harmon.
Here.
Lilly.
Here.
Sanders. Here. Williams. Here. Broderick.
Here.
Thomas.
Here.
Wade.
Here.
You have before you the minutes of the regular meeting on June 2024 as transcribed.
Move for adoption.
Second.
We have a motion by Councilmember Brooks and a second by Councilmember Sanders. Roll call, please.
Broderick.
Aye.
Wade.
Aye.
Williams.
Aye.
Harmon.
Aye.
Sanders.
Aye.
Thomas.
Aye.
Brooks.
Aye.
Lilly.
Aye.
You all have received the June 2024 financials. Any questions, concerns that need to be addressed at this time? There being none, we will move on. So I would like to have come before us Josiah Rainey and also Carmen Tolliver, as well as her coaches, Richard Hamilton and Chad Collins. If y'all could please come to the front.
All right. We have these young people here tonight because they have excelled. And I don't know about everybody in this room, but I think you're kind of like mine with me, is that when young people do bad, we tend to tell them, right? When they do well, I think they ought to be recognized, and not just at their school and not just in their homes, but I think it's nice for the whole city to recognize them. And we're going to talk, and I've got a couple of things, and the mayor's going to give them a challenge coin, which is a custom of us saying that we're challenging you to continue doing the good work because you're representing Sherwood with great honor, okay? And I want to just kind of start with Josiah, and then we're going to talk about Miss Carmen here. Josiah is a junior, a rising senior. He's going to be a senior this next year. And this sparked when I saw the article in the paper, and y'all can maybe see this later on. I even framed it for you, just in case you don't already have it framed, baby doll. Lead story, Sylvan Hills track star is fastest runner in the state. Give him applause, guys. Now, here's what the headlines say, Josiah. It says, Josiah Rainey leads the pack in a 100-meter race, taking the gold in the state 5A meet with a time of 10.70 seconds. It could be days for some of us in this room to make that, and that's only 100 meters. So, Mayor, if you'll give him and his coach, Chad, let me give this plaque to him. And Josiah, where's your mom and dad? And sisters? You guys kind of come up here. Get up here on this side. You're not near as important as he is, okay? Get up here. All right.
So where did the running genes come from?
Mama? And Chad Collins is the head men's track coach at Sylvan Hills High School. Want to give him, and he also teaches math, just FYI. Now we have Miss Carmen Tolliver. Look at the Rainey's leave. Miss Tolliver is a senior, so she's graduated. Where are you going, Carmen? Oh, in Magnolia. Fantastic. Good for you. And her coach, Richard Hamilton, is there, the head of the girls' track coach. And she won conference champion. And the thing is, it's going to take, 10 days for him? It's going to take 10 years for me. She won the 100-meter hurdles. How many of y'all can pick your foot up and make a step without tripping? Okay. How tall are those hurdles, Miss Carmen? 3 feet?
Almost as tall as she is.
I know, that's what I'm saying. Hamilton, how tall are those hurdles that she has to jump?
Pretty tall.
Say the lowest, like 30 inches.
30, almost 3 feet. Okay, 3 yards. Okay, we're going to give you your little picture also and your challenge coins, and we congratulate. Give Miss Carmen a hand. I do understand her family is here. Come up here, brag on this girl. The way I understand it, track scholarship means free money, Mama. Okay. Josiah and Carmen, we are proud to have you represent the city of Sherwood in these events, and keep it up, both at your college level and your senior year. Young people, we're proud of you. No.
All right, moving on, we've got committees and/or commissions. First up, we have Advertising and Promotion Commission. Councilmember Brooks.
We did not meet. We did have a very successful, though, 4th of July event that was put on by the city. The A&P Commission did sponsor the fireworks.
Yes, ma'am.
And from what I understand, from everybody that we've heard from, everybody loved the fireworks. And we've even been approached to make them bigger and better next year. So hopefully we can accomplish that. But we did not meet, and we will meet Wednesday, August the 7th at 4 p.m. right here. Anyone's welcome to attend, or you can watch it on YouTube. Thank you.
Thank you, Councilmember Brooks. Next up, we have Councilmember Harmon with Parks and Recreation Committee.
We had our meeting, and it was primarily just a review of current projects. That review is in the minutes that you received. There was also a long discussion about Duran Park, which was the topic of the public hearing at 5:30 this evening. Those notes are in there as well. If you have any questions, let me know. Otherwise, our next meeting will be the first Monday of the next month at 6 o'clock. in this room, and Beverly looks like she has a question.
I did, and I apologize, I should have asked it during that meeting earlier. I just got to my notes on this. When y'all were talking about the Duran Center and the meeting we had earlier, there was also a comment made, or as I read in your minutes, something regarding that's one of the centers that we have a fee for people to use the Duran Youth Center? Is that correct?
We have a fee for people to join it if they want to, participate in the programs that they were doing recently. It's only, I think, $12 a year.
It's $24 a
$24.
year, and then it's unlimited usage.
Okay. So, all right, I didn't even know we charged for that.
I
think.
didn't know that, I'll have to be honest with you, I didn't know that fee had been implemented either. I was unaware of
And
it.
so I didn't know if that fee structure was what caused non-attendance. That was just a next question I had.
It's worth discussing.
Okay, thank you.
All right. We have a resolution before you. It's a resolution authorizing grant application. This is just for the application to the Arkansas Department of Parks, Heritage, and Tourism for Duran Park.
Now, on this resolution, those of you who were and those of you who didn't make the public hearing, I want to point out that this is a separate issue from the community center. All we're talking about is the park that surrounds the community center. This grant would have absolutely nothing to do with renovation of the
building.
community center or what we do with the community center or don't do with the community center. They're two totally separate issues.
Thank you. Any
No questions?
questions, comments?
Move for adoption of the resolution.
We have a motion by Councilmember Harmon and a second by Councilmember Thomas. Roll call, please.
Broderick. Wade.
Aye.
Williams.
But I had an amendment I wanted to put on that as slow, because we didn't talk about dollar amount here. I hate to do money without a dollar amount, with an open checkbook. We mentioned it in the workshop, we don't have it here, though.
Well,
It's-
it's just,
this is
it's
just-
applying
this is just
for it.
applying for the
You
grant.
don't get to, they determine the amount that you get. It's a maximum of $250,000.
Okay.
Harmon.
Aye.
Sanders.
Aye.
Thomas.
Aye.
Brooks.
Aye.
Lilly.
Aye.
All right, passes unanimously. Moving on to Planning Commission. We have an ordinance before you amending the existing zoning code with respect to conditional use permits and for other purposes. This was read once at the June meeting. Shelby?
Good evening, Shelby Smith, City Planner. So before you this evening, it is a red line version. The changes referencing sections did not save correctly, so that would be the only amendments before you this evening. So in regard to the conditional use, you also would have received a summary that summarizes the changes. And if you would have gone back and compared the two, there is significant difference. And real quick, before we move on to any questions related to that summary, I put before you just a little chart this evening that talks about the notification radius requirements of comparable cities. It speaks to the certified mail due dates, which we have also increased, and then the responsible party for publishing and accruing the costs of that public notice requirement. So everything we are doing is in line with what cities comparable to our size and surrounding are doing.
Shelby, I got one question.
Yes,
Did you amend the language from what was read last month?
I did,
Okay,
yes.
so we'll actually have to read
Yes,
it.
so then we'll need then a
Motion to amend.
a
and then
motion
read it.
to amend it with that language.
Okay.
So moved.
Second?
We have a motion to amend it and by Councilmember Harmon and a second by Councilmember Brooks. And this is to the amend using the language that was presented to you all that's before you right now. Roll call.
Broderick. Wade.
Aye.
Williams.
Aye.
Harmon.
Aye.
Sanders.
Aye.
Thomas.
Aye.
Brooks.
Aye.
Lilly.
Aye.
An ordinance amending the existing zoning code with respect to conditional use permits and for other purposes as amended. That's the first reading.
Yes.
Back to you,
Okay,
Shelby.
so the summary, you would have received that. I hope that helped clarify some of the changes. We essentially have gone in and significantly beefed up our existing conditional use. as it pertains to setting forth a list of its own set procedures. Currently, that is a reference in the code to that of rezonings, which has made it very confusing for applicants making application for conditional use. It is often confused with the rezone. We've added site plan requirements for applications. They're specific and they're tailored to the conditional use. That way it can be appropriately evaluated. Procedural requirements, like I spoke to, those are also the like procedure requirements as it pertains to public hearings, and those will reflect in the rezone amendment before you this evening as well, and the review procedure requirements. So specific to the conditional use, there are expiration and revocation of the conditional use permit dates, and we've set standards and provisions to carry through with that. So I'll take any questions if there are any.
Is this what we were talking about, the notification moving, was it from 200 feet to 100 feet? Is that?
It was 300 to 200,
200.
yes. And that's the chart that I put before you. It is consistent with other cities. It's just preference. But like I said last meeting, that's not a hill that we're going to die on. If you want 300, we'll do 3.
I did, just for the council, I did get a citizen reach out to me. They had concerns with that 100-foot difference, that it would impact their property. So,
How would it impact their property?
because they butt up against, or they're near, like Buffalo Wild Wings in that commercial part, so they had concerns that they wouldn't have to be notified.
Because they're outside 200 feet from the property?
Well, I do believe
300
signs
feet
have to
they
go
would be,
up,
but
correct?
200 feet
Right,
they
so
would
there
not.
are still signage requirements associated with that. It would just be reducing that radius of 100 feet. So for staff, that wouldn't be anything significant. What it does is if the applicant were assuming the cost of procuring the abstract list, it would significantly reduce their cost.
But I guess what I'm asking is, if she fell between, let's say she was 250 feet, would she be contacted so that she could voice concern if she wanted to?
So the requirement would be 200 feet.
Right, so
And-
that's what exactly what her concern was, that she wouldn't be notified to register.
So
a
there are
concern.
so what we have done, we've gone in, we have set forth provisions to safeguard the public notice requirements. And everything is accessible online. And in reference to that area in particular, that area has seen a lot of rezone requests over the years.
Yes.
Numerous since I have been with the city. And there is constant communication in that area, but signage is a major requirement and it has to face the public way. And we've received a lot of calls in that manner, even people that have been outside of that 300-foot radius requirement in the area.
Yeah, you don't have to be within that radius in order to give public comment.
Absolutely
And
not.
that's signage on all frontage roads, right?
Yes,
Yes.
correct.
So she would see the signage saying
Right.
up for rezoning, but
But
she
she
would
wouldn't
not
get-
officially get the letter notification.
Correct.
Right, and that's where we have people, again, specific to that area that contact our office and we provide them with all the information that they request.
And that signage would be on both Silver Creek and Warden Road.
And
It
Claremont
would be
property.
the frontage of the property that
Right.
is under consideration for that
Right, yeah.
application.
Does that person, let me ask you this, and you not without you divulging too much, does that person live in?
Is this Sherwood citizen?
Right, do they live in Silver Creek or do they live, because I actually have some people that
Yes.
live not in Silver Creek, or they live actually in a neighborhood that property backs
Backs up
up to, and that is not in Silver Creek.
Off
And
of
that
North
is
Cla- off
also a
Claremont.
concern. Yeah,
Yes.
that,
If it's not a hill worth dying on, my preference would be to leave it at 300, just for that reason, so they have every opportunity. If they want to ask questions or share a concern, they can, they're notified.
I'm fine with that. That's not anything significant. What we're going to do, so staff is now taking the responsibility. We're not going to have the applicant procure that list and absorb the cost. We are going to do that. So for us, it will be a click of a button. So I'm not concerned. Overall, it's administrative procedures that are set forth and codified with this amendment, and that is the direction we want to head.
So you're talking about on page 3, under section 3, letters of public notice,
Yes,
that should be, go back to 300?
we can amend that, certainly.
That's what,
So I'll need a motion and we can,
okay.
I make that motion.
is there a second?
Second?
We have a motion by Councilmember Brooks, and we have a second by Councilmember Harmon to change the language from 200 feet to 300 feet. Roll call, please.
Broderick.
Aye.
Wade.
Aye.
Williams.
Aye.
Harmon.
Aye.
Sanders.
Aye.
Thomas.
Aye.
Brooks.
Aye.
Lilly.
Aye.
I'll read it again. An ordinance amending the existing zoning code with respect to conditional use permits and for other purposes as amended. Again,
I was going to say again.
a second time, yes.
Good catch.
Any additional questions or things that stood out with the summary?
Shelby, I have a question.
Yes.
Maybe I'm just not reading this right, but
Okay.
number 3, under public notice,
Okay.
it talks about, of course, it talks about the mailing and all that. But if I'm reading this right, no matter where it's at, they've got to send notice to the Air Force Base?
So one of the things that we have in here, there's a state statute that references notification of the school board, superintendent, things of that nature. That is part of the statute. And we, with the planning commission, working through all of these amendments over the course of 4 or 5 months, thought it would be pertinent to go ahead and add the Air Force Base if they are in proximity of a conditional use permit request.
Okay, so it's just in proximity still. We're still talking about the 200 feet,
Or 300 feet.
or 300 feet
Well, and
now.
that would just be something that would be required, period. There would be notification. Also, everything is reflective within the rezoning that we will discuss in a minute. We are keeping that in line with one another. But that would just be notification in good faith because we do work closely with the base, and we do not want anything to impact their operations.
And we signed, I don't know if you remember, but we actually signed an agreement with them that basically said that we would follow their zoning and so forth and to bring things before
So
them,
many miles.
to notify them. Yes, sir.
And we do have an
Yes.
overlay that is North Sherwood area, the ACUs areas where there are specific requirements tied to being within those zones. So it's a safeguard essentially for their operations.
Okay, thank you.
Yes, sir.
Anything else?
I make a motion to put this on second reading as amended.
Second.
We have a motion by Councilmember Brooks and a second by Councilmember Sanders to put it on second reading. Roll call, please.
Broderick.
Aye.
Wade.
Aye.
Williams.
Aye.
Harmon.
Aye.
Sanders.
Aye.
Thomas.
Aye.
Brooks.
Aye.
Lilly.
Aye.
That was the second reading. Any other?
That's first reading.
Oh, now I've got to read again. I'm so sorry. An ordinance, there's been a lot on this one. An ordinance amending the existing zoning code with respect to conditional use permits and for other purposes as amended now twice. That is the second reading as amended twice.
Move we suspend the rules and place it on third reading as amended twice.
We have a motion by Councilmember Brooks and a second by Councilmember Williams.
Broderick.
Aye.
Wade.
Aye.
Williams.
Aye.
Harmon.
Aye.
Sanders.
Aye.
Thomas.
Aye.
Brooks.
Aye.
Lilly.
Aye.
An ordinance amending the existing zoning code with respect to conditional use permits and for other purposes as amended twice.
Move for adoption.
Second.
We have a motion for adoption by Councilmember Brooks and a second by Councilmember Thomas.
Broderick.
Aye.
Wade.
Aye.
Williams.
Aye.
Harmon.
Aye.
Sanders.
Aye.
Thomas.
Aye.
Brooks.
Aye.
Lilly.
Aye.
Passes unanimously. Moving on, we have an ordinance amending the existing zoning code with respect to amendments and for other purposes. This one was read once at the June meeting, but is it the same situation where we have red line minor amendments?
This one is a tiny little scrivener, so that is for you to decide. And it didn't even reflect in your changes. That's the issue we're having. So I can tell you where it's at.
That would be helpful.
Let's do that.
Okay.
Okay, so for the amendments section, what you'll be looking at, it's going to be 140209D, which is going to be the procedures for amendments initiated by the city. So within number 4, and if I'm going too fast, I can slow down.
14.209 what?
14.0209D4.
Dog, okay. I was under
Feel like we're
B.
playing
It's on the-
bingo.
It's on
You
the
said
bottom
B.
of the second page.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Which
Okay,
one?
so
The
then we're
bottom of the
going
second
in.
page.
So with this one, when it's talking in number 4, we'll skip down. It says the enforcement officer shall notify via PS First Class Mail with certified certificates of mailing the U.S. Air Force Base. So it's saying the enforcement office in your packet. It should say officer. Or if it reflects officer, that is the Scrivener error.
Mine says enforcement officer.
Okay, well, that should be technically redlined. It was just a little typo that did not reflect.
Okay.
So however you wish to proceed.
City Attorney, is that enough to have to amend it, or?
I think to be on the safe side, not amend it.
So, and then with that, would that be safe to do the radius as 300 feet as well, just keeping it consistent from the 200 as proposed, if we could do all of that with the amendment?
I think we should.
Okay.
agree.
Do I have a
Okay.
motion from a council member?
So moved.
Yes, second.
Thank
We
you.
have a motion by Councilmember Brooks and a second by Councilmember Harmon to amend it, motion to amend, yes.
And that 300 feet is under section E, part 2 in the narrative.
Yes, change from 200 to 300 for consistency.
It's roll call.
Broderick.
Aye.
Wade.
Aye.
Williams.
Aye.
Harmon.
Aye.
Sanders. Thomas. Brooks.
Aye.
Lilly.
Aye.
We have an ordinance amending the existing zoning code with respect to amendments and for other purposes as amended. That's the first reading.
Move we suspend the rules and place it on second reading.
Second.
We have a motion by Councilmember Harmon and a second by Councilmember Lilly to put it on second reading. Roll call, please.
Broderick. Wade.
Aye.
Williams.
Aye.
Harmon.
Aye.
Sanders.
Aye.
Thomas. Brooks.
Aye.
Lilly.
Aye.
An ordinance amending the existing zoning code with respect to amendments and for other purposes as amended. That's the third reading.
Move we suspend the rules and place it on third and final reading. That was the second reading?
Second reading? Was it second? I'm
Yes,
sorry.
third and final
Second reading, yes.
Second.
We have a motion by Councilmember Harmon and a second by Councilmember Wade to put it on the third reading.
Broderick. Wade.
Aye.
Williams.
Aye.
Harmon.
Aye.
Sanders.
Aye.
Thomas. Brooks.
Aye.
Lilly.
Aye.
An ordinance amending the existing zoning code with respect to amendments and for other purposes as amended. That was the third reading.
Move for the adoption.
Second.
We have a motion for adoption by Councilmember Harmon and a second by Councilmember Sanders. Roll call, please.
Broderick. Wade.
Aye.
Williams.
Aye.
Harmon.
Aye.
Sanders.
Aye.
Thomas. Brooks.
Aye.
Lilly.
Aye.
The motion to adopt passes unanimously.
Next. Okay. Next up, we have a resolution amending the comprehensive plan for Sherwood for the property located at 1010 Lantrip Road and for other purposes. We have someone who has signed up to speak for this.
Now, I think they actually want to speak to rezoning.
So,
Okay.
to the rezoning request, and I will like to state before they speak to this item, that the item before you for the amendment to the land use plan is a step that is required before a rezone is heard by the planning commission. So that is a request from commercial corridor to highway corridor, which is consistent with the applicant's rezoning request.
So what we'll do is we'll go ahead, if you all so choose, we'll vote on this one. If that passes, we'll move on to the second. What is the pleasure of the council?
We're going
Need
to
a
vote on C
motion?
before we go to D.
Right?
Okay.
Is there a motion for the resolution?
I move motion. Pass.
Is there?
Second.
There's a motion from Councilmember Williams and a second from Councilmember Lilly. Roll call, please.
Broderick. Wade.
Aye.
Williams.
Aye.
Harmon.
Aye.
Sanders.
Aye.
Thomas. Brooks.
Aye.
Lilly.
Aye.
The motion passes unanimously.
An ordinance amending the official zoning district maps for the property located at 1010 Lantrip Road and for other purposes. This is the first reading. anything that you want to say before we have the
Yes, so
person come up and
quickly,
speak?
yes, for this property, it is a rezone request. The current zoning on this property is R1, and the applicant is requesting C4, hence the application for the land use plan amendment prior. But the applicant is here and would like to speak to the item.
If you'll please give us your name and address.
Michael Long, I'm the Vice President of River City Hydraulics. Our address, which I guess you want the work address, 122 Magnet Drive in Sherwood.
Can you give your street address? That's actually what we need.
122 Magnet Drive. Do you want my business or my home? I live here too.
We've got your home one right here, but
Yeah.
that's fine.
9541 Johnson is my home.
Okay.
We are under contract to purchase the land in question from Mr. Landtrip. It's on R1 now. We own basically all the land around it. We're wanting to add to our business. We're going to build 2 buildings there if it's approved. Of course, it's all contingent upon this passing. We want to have our entire facility at the end of Hunter's Cove. So we're not even going to use the Landtrip side, really. I mean, there's a road back there, but nothing crazy is going to happen there. Our entry will be on Hunter's Cove. That'll get us away from the school. We cause a lot of problems for the school right now, so just trying to be good neighbors. So that's basically it.
And having been out there, that, all of that area east of that property is already C4.
It is.
And so it's just expanding it, making it a little bit, circle a little bit bigger, but it's not, I'm not opposed to this idea.
And I would like to say that any, if this were to be approved tonight, any site plan and expansion of said business would have to go through the full site plan application and review process. So there would be safeguards put into place as it related to screening and buffering.
And the power line easement
And the
trail.
power, yes, and the power line easement will also be encompassed in that.
You have someone to speak.
That was it.
That was him? Oh,
What's the pleasure of the council?
Move we suspend the rules and place on second reading.
Second.
We have a motion by Councilmember Brooks and a second by Councilmember Harmon to put it on second reading. Roll call, please.
Broderick. Wade.
Aye.
Williams.
Aye.
Harmon.
Aye.
Sanders. Thomas. Brooks.
Aye.
Lilly.
Aye.
An ordinance amending the official zoning districts map for the property located at 1010 Landtrip Road and for other purposes. This is the second reading.
Move we suspend the rules and place it on third reading.
Second.
We have a motion by Councilmember Brooks and a second by Councilmember Broderick to put it on third reading. Roll call, please.
Broderick.
Aye.
Wade.
Aye.
Williams.
Aye.
Harmon.
Aye.
Sanders. Thomas. Brooks.
Aye.
Lilly.
Aye.
An ordinance amending the official zoning districts map for the property located at 1010 Landtrip Road and for other purposes. That was the third reading.
Move for the adoption.
Second.
We have a motion for adoption by Councilmember Lilly and a second by Councilmember Broderick. Roll call, please.
Broderick.
Aye.
Wade.
Aye.
Williams.
Aye.
Harmon.
Aye.
Sanders. Thomas. Brooks.
Aye.
Lilly.
Aye.
Thank you.
The motion passes unanimously.
Next up, we have Street Committee. Councilmember Lilly.
Street Committee did meet. We had a relatively short meeting, really just a couple items and then updates on where we stand with our road improvement projects. So minutes are in your packet. Anybody have questions?
Mr. Lilly, I have 2 questions. Regarding the SCBG grant that y'all are seeking for $4 million, where is that for? What is that for? What location? It didn't say in the minutes.
It's
Mayor,
for-
I'll let you address that.
Yes, sir. It's for Phase 2 of Jacksonville,
It's still
Cato.
Jacksonville, Cato? Okay.
Yes, there will be something that will be coming before you all next month. We had to put in a letter of intent today, but if we do receive that grant for construction, that will dig us kind of out of that deficit hole that we were in. So this is a great opportunity for our city.
And then the second part, since Ms. Brooks and I are both in Ward 3, the Sherwood Acres thing that has been put off and put off and put off, and we were out there 2 weeks ago with regard to some of the sinking and the land issues, and I don't want us to have this sinkhole before we do something. So it's been put off, and I don't know why it's still on hold.
Well, we have been pending a grant and trying to get additional dollars to handle that. We are at a point where we need to be moving forward.
I totally agree.
Come through, so.
I mean, I would even, and, we're talking parks, so I love it, but before we have neighborhoods, backyards, and driveways sink in, we need to put our money there before we do anything else in a park. And I'm not against park, you know that, but I just,
Right, but
we have neighbors asking, why are we spending money on something else?
just to make it clear, that comes out of two different pots of money.
know.
So that would come out of streets and drainage. It's not coming, it's parks money, does not take away from that. So I just
The
want to make
public
that very clear.
doesn't see that.
Well, that's why I'm trying to make it very clear that that is absolutely not the case. It's a completely different pot of money. We did apply for a grant. We have been following up with it. We are supposed to know by September, but we are looking at doing what we can to move forward, but it will be coming before Street Committee next month, so.
Just having the conversation lets the public know that we're not forgetting them.
They're definitely not forgotten.
Okay.
I mean, that's on the projects list. Of course, if we can get grant funding, I mean, that saves.
Smart.
Saves taxpayer money, so.
Agreed.
Unfortunately, it's been a little slower in developing than what we would like to have, so.
Okay.
But no, we hadn't forgotten.
Thank you.
Anything else? We have a resolution approving the purchase of certain real property in conjunction with the Jacksonville Cato Road project.
We've got a resolution here to authorize the mayor to purchase 8213 Jacksonville Cato Road. This is the location of the roundabout. Will be right on top of this house, so we need to purchase this property. It's been negotiated with the homeowner, and we've had an appraisal done, and the appraisal, which is dated 4/26, is for $125,000. We're allowing $10,000 for moving expenses, and the homeowner has rejected our offer and of $135,000, and he will not go any lower than $140,000. So that's what the resolution is for.
And we met with our chief attorney on this, who's handling, his expertise is real estate, and basically, we were advised that we would spend more trying to fight this in court than we would just, he advised us to go ahead and settle this and move on, versus we will spend that and more in court, and it's a jury that decides it, and
Sir, is there anyone living there today?
Yes.
yes.
Okay. I would move for the adoption of the resolution.
Second.
We have a motion by Councilmember Lilly and a second by Councilmember Harmon. Roll call, please.
Broderick.
Aye.
Wade.
Aye.
Williams.
No.
Harmon.
Aye.
Sanders.
Aye.
Thomas.
Aye.
Brooks.
Aye.
Lilly.
Aye.
The motion passes 7 yes, 1 no.
Moving on to Wastewater Committee. Is Eric Fleming here? All right, we have a resolution designating and authorizing the mayor to execute certain documents in connection with funding administered by the Arkansas Natural Resources Commission. Would you like to speak to this?
Sure. Mayor, council members, this is, if you remember, a couple months ago, we spoke about the work on the interceptors with 5 Mile Creek Basin with North Little Rock Wastewater. This is just basically authorizing the mayor for us to apply for the funding. So we can't even apply or start the application process until we have this resolution. So this just kind of helps us move to the next step so that we can submit the application to get on the schedule.
And what's the total amount of money that you guys are seeking?
No dollar amount.
Well, when we submit it with information, I believe our portion was around $4 million, and the total project cost was a little over $9 million.
Any other questions?
Okay, it's been a little bit. Will you refresh my memory? So this is a
So Sherwood Wastewater, and forgive me because I'm not the wastewater manager, I deal more with numbers, but we, have a portion of interceptors in the 5 Mile Creek Basin that we work hand in hand with North Little Rock Wastewater. I believe our percentage is about 52%, and North Little Rock Wastewater's percentage is about 48%. North Little Rock has already started their funding process with this, and so they're working on wanting to move forward with the project. And if we can work on this project together, it will save money in the long run instead of having to basically have two separate contracts for working on the same project. So, we're kind of on our own working on our funding portion, but wastewater in reserves doesn't have enough money just to fund this portion of the project.
When will they announce if they're going to give financial assistance?
Well, it'll be depending on when we can submit our application. They have certain periods of time each year when they review it. So, and there's 2 sets of approval processes. So you do a first initial application, or you submit your intent to approve to one board that reviews it monthly, and then the ANRC reviews quarterly, and then you hear back after that. So, but this is, we have to have the resolution in order just to submit the application on the website. They won't look at it until we have this signatory approval.
And one of the ways this would save us money is being able to utilize their engineering versus having to pay for our own.
And the wastewater budget's only about $1 million a year, correct?
It's significantly
And-
lower. Our
yeah.
reserves aren't
I'm looking at it.
enough, yes.
The reserves only have 700,000, so
Right.
that doesn't come equal to 4 million.
Correct.
Correct.
If my
And
math is
we
still
will
good.
be able to, with the rate increase, we will be, that you all have passed, we
Right.
will be able to afford then the
With
payments.
annual, correct,
Yes.
the payments on the.
Okay.
Well, if we're going to pay for it, we're going to need to pay for it with somebody else's money, so I make a motion we adopt the resolution.
700,000 is not going to cut it.
We-
Make a motion we adopt the resolution.
And we have a motion by Councilmember Harmon. Do we have a second?
Second.
We have a second by Councilmember Wade. Roll call, please.
Broderick.
Aye.
Wade.
Aye.
Williams.
Aye.
Harmon.
Aye.
Sanders. Thomas. Brooks. Lilly.
Aye.
The motion to adopt passes unanimously.
Okay. Next up, we have an ordinance amending ordinance 2140 regarding the adoption and new policies and procedures for animal control and for other purposes.
Mayor, before we start discussion on this, I have a couple of things.
Okay,
First-
can I just finish? It was read once at the
Okay.
June meeting,
Yeah.
okay?
This, it was read once, that's one of the things I was going to say. It was read once at the June meeting, and when I we agreed to put this in the agenda, one of the things I said that it was for discussion, and I wanted it discussed over 3 meetings. So it's not my intention that it be voted on tonight, first off. Secondly, we have something like 13 people signed up to speak on it tonight, and that's with 3 minutes each. If everybody took their 3 minutes, that's going to be a long time. And I know it's a very passionate issue for people, and we're getting, on both sides of the issue, people have very passionate opinions on it. But I think for the economy of time, we're going to need to limit this somehow. So what I'm proposing, our rules allow us to put additional limits besides just the 3-minute rule a 3-minute limit on issues when we're doing issue speaking. So I'm going to propose that we limit the total speaking time to 21 minutes on this, and that it'll be 3 minutes if they use all their if everybody uses all their 3 minutes, that would be 7 speakers. And if they don't use it, it'll be more than that. If there's some people speak 1 or 2 minutes, it'd be more than that.
Also, Councilmember Harmon, I had a request by one of your fellow council members that we have the Sherwood residents be permitted to go first.
Oh, absolutely.
And so if that is amenable to everyone, the 21 minutes as well as that, we would actually start with those who actually put down addresses that are in Sherwood. And
We have to vote
that's
on
the
the
list
21
that we
minutes.
will follow. So,
We have to vote on the 21 minutes, I think, don't we?
yeah, and we would, this is a change in our procedure, so we would need to definitely get a majority consensus if
And it's only
the
for this
two
one
issue
issue.
things. If you want to make it so that the Sherwood residents who put down addresses get preference, and so I would suggest we split that up and make a decision on that, and then we can address the time constraint of 21 minutes, or it would actually extend it to 21 minutes from the current 15. So
So
first.
how many people have Sherwood addresses?
1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6,
No,
7, 8,
that signed up.
9, 10, 11, 12, 13. We have, I've got 13 who signed up with Sherwood addresses.
There is no 15-minute limit for this because it's an agenda item.
The 15-minute is on non-agenda items. On an agenda item, you have the authority to determine the
So
duration
it could go,
of speaking.
it could go longer, so.
So let's just, if we wait, does Sherwood people go?
So we need a motion to go with the addresses from Sherwood residents first, give them preference, and the second thing would be total speaking time of 21 minutes total duration.
Or, to not have a duration,
So,
because
okay.
it's not 15 minutes.
For the purpose of getting this rolling, I move that we give a preference to Sherwood residents.
Second.
Roll call, please.
Broderick.
Aye.
Wade.
Aye.
Williams.
Aye.
Harmon.
Aye.
Sanders. Thomas.
Aye.
Brooks.
Aye.
Lilly.
Aye.
Okay, now,
Okay, so wait, Charlie, 1 second. So we have 13.
We have 13 that have signed up who
and
put down
3
their
minutes
addresses.
each. So how much, Ms. Mathwis, 13?
That would be
That's
39
minutes.
39 minutes. And normally, if it's not an agenda item, we limit it to 15 minutes total time anyway.
But this is an
This
agenda
is an
item,
agenda
so
item,
it doesn't fall under a
But
time
we-
constraint.
Which doesn't have that 15-minute limit, but we normally don't have this many people signed up. So what I'm saying is, let's put a 7-person or 21-minute, I put a 21-minute limit on it. It's not 7 people, but it will only be 7 people if everybody took their full 3 minutes. So I'm saying put a 21-minute limit on it. So I make a motion that I make a motion we put the 21-minute limit on it.
Okay, we do have a motion on the floor by Councilmember Harmon. Is there a second, or is there more discussion? Okay,
I don't know that I'm good with 21 minutes, because I think there's a lot of people out here. I don't know.
I
Okay.
don't like the idea of, I mean, this is the public's opportunity to express their opinion. And, I mean, I would ask that we not have repeating, the same opinion and the same information, but I would like to give them their opportunity.
I do agree with the Sherwood residents, because this is for Sherwood citizens, so this affects the Sherwood residents. So I agree with that, but I
okay.
don't know about the 21 minutes.
Well, we have a motion. If there's no second, then
They
that
have a
motion
3-minute
would just
limit. Every
fail.
person has a 3-minute limit.
Currently have a 3-minute limit.
Yes, sir, we have a,
Okay,
all right,
I withdraw the motion.
okay. Chief Hager, the floor is yours, sir.
Jeff Hager, I'm the chief of police, and animal control falls under my purview, so I'm here to represent this ordinance. And I'd like to start off by saying that I really appreciate, I think that I asked to meet with all of y'all, and I think that I've met with all of you either in person or spoke to you on the phone, and I appreciate y'all taking the time to talk to me. The one thing that I know that we have a lot of people here to speak on the pit bull portion or the breed-specific language portion of the ordinance, and I would just like to remind y'all that that is one small part of the ordinance, and I really would plead with you, don't throw the baby out with the bathwater. So this is an ordinance that's an old ordinance that needs to be updated, and so I'd like for you to look at the ordinance in its entirety. And we provided y'all with the best we could do of a red line version because it's a new ordinance. So, and I know y'all have taken the time to read that, and I appreciate it. So, with respect to the breed-specific language, I know that that's the majority of what people are here to speak about. I can tell you that I've gotten a lot of feedback, and I know y'all have gotten a lot of feedback about that, and I appreciate everybody voicing their opinion. Unfortunately, Chris Clark, our animal control manager, he is not here tonight. He had a family emergency, a sickness in the family. He had to leave the state. So, but we will do our best that we can to answer any questions that you have. We have invited a couple of people here to speak specifically to the breed specific that on our behalf, because, and I've told y'all when I met with you, if you would have asked me a year ago about this breed-specific language, I would have probably fallen in the camp of being in favor of breed-specific language. After having talked with people that I consider to be experts and our animal control staff, I have changed my view on that, and I think that I think there is a mechanism and a way to provide the same quality service and safety measures and still allow people to own animals that they feel that they have a right to own. And that's just, again, that's my opinion for what it's worth. I'm not an expert, so that's just my opinion. So I do have a couple of people that I would like to let speak on this. I have two of our vets from North Hills Animal Clinic that we utilize at the animal shelter. I'd like to have come forward. That's Dr. Matthews and Dr. Campbell. And we also have here tonight the Director of Animal Control from Cabot. They passed a similar ordinance to this a few years ago, and he can speak specifically to, what their experience with that would be. And I think that would be pertinent to y'all to be able to hear what they experienced and what they went through with that and what their thoughts are concerning that. So, and I'm going to start with Mr. Wheeler, if he's here, from Cabot. And if that's okay with y'all, let him speak to you, and he can kind of give you their story and background.
I will say also one of the reasons why he was selected, because there's plenty of communities who have a similar legislation, and he's not one to toot his own horn, but he actually teaches the classes for the people to become managers of animal shelters. He is certified not only on the state, not only national, but internationally, and he's like highly regarded in this state for his expertise. So we wanted to just kind of bring you guys the best of the best. So, and I don't say that lightly. Your mayor's a good friend of mine, but I don't like to say Cabot does anything better than we do, so.
I understand.
Absolutely.
Thank you, Mayor. City Council, I appreciate y'all letting me be here tonight. A little about me. I am the Director of Animal Services for the City of Cabot. I'm also on the Executive Board of the Arkansas State Animal Control Association and on the Executive Board of the National Animal Care and Control Association. I do teach animal control officers. That's what I do. But I'm not here to talk about that, so I do appreciate those. Cabot did pass a similar ordinance back in April of 2019. As a community, we came together. We realized that, just like Sherwood has an amazing community, Cabot had an amazing community, but we also, just like Sherwood, we have a community full of pit bulls. They're already here. We weren't seeing the number of bites that were reported at other locations. The undocumented stories without data. I'm a data person, so data is key for me. And we haven't seen any increase since. Our adoptions are the same. Oh, yes, ma'am. Oh, I'm sorry. Microphone closer. Yes, ma'am. Okay. So we haven't seen any of the increases. I've got all of our numbers here prior to intakes into the shelter, which is always, well, you have more now or more then. Back in 2018, before we passed, we had about 16% of our population in the shelter were pit bulls. Right now, they're at 14%. Our euthanasias, which are important numbers to me, that's the number of animals we euthanize every year, they have an increase. In 2018, last year, we euthanized 1. Our bite cases, and just so you know, our euthanasia, we're at 98% live release. We've been that way for years, which means less than 2% of the animals that come into our shelter are euthanized. And that's because we trust our community. We have a great community. We have a great community of animal lovers and owners. Another thing we found out during the process, where we had a lot of folks from the air base, a lot of military personnel that would not move to Cabot because of our ban. And for a former military myself, that's sad to me that our folks can die for the country, but they can't move into our city. And if they did move into our city, we forced them to hide their animals. We forced them to become criminals in our own city because they weren't going to leave their pets in another state or wherever they moved from. So that was tough for me. Bites, just so you're aware, 2019, beginning in 2019, we'll go to 2018, we had 6 bites, or 6 bites from pit bulls is what we had. We had 48 total bites in the city. 2023, we had 45 total bites with 9 pit bull bites. So the numbers don't reflect an increase because we removed the ban. But what I will tell you has happened, we have a much happier community. We have animals walking down our sidewalks, down our streets. We have something that I find fascinating to me is I started 15 years ago in 2009, and we would have a complaint to the mayor or a complaint to the city council or a complaint, period, every 2 days about something for animal services. But with this and our other community programs that we've implemented, our complaints are down to 1 every 60 days, which is, I think, is amazing for a community of the size of 29,000 people. That's just what we have seen. Our youth, like I said, nothing has increased. Our dog bites haven't increased. Our severity of bites have not increased. I'm of the opinion, and we also, we believe in NACA, the National Animal Care and Control Association, and even the state statute does. The state statute, by statute, says that all animal control officers in the state are certified by the state association based on NACA guidelines, the National Animal Care and Control Guidelines. And the National Animal Care and Control had put out a statement against breed ban legislation because it's unenforceable. And when it is enforced, it's the lower socioeconomic part of our community that is hurt the worst. I mean, I'm not sure what your penalties are in Cabot. Our penalty was $770.
Ours is not enough.
That's a lot of money for the folks who can't afford $770, just because they have the dog. But the National Animal Control Association, they put out a statement against VSL. And in their statement, they referenced I'll look here, make sure I get it correct here. They referenced the American Veterinary Medical Association statement that they were against VSL. And they also referenced a 2012 resolution by the American Bar Association that was against VSL. So once again, like I said, I'm a data person, and there are stories of horrific proportion, and they're out there. There are organizations that grab everything they can off the internet, and there are horrific things that do happen. But they happen for German Shepherds, they happen for Rottweilers, they happen for Doberman Pinschers, they happen from Labradors. It happens, and I don't put anything I don't want to make this sound callous, because I sympathize with every one of them. But the data doesn't support that this dog is any more dangerous than any other dog. And it doesn't have any more of the reason to bite than any other animal. So if you have any questions about Cabot, I've got all the data you need. I mean, I'd be more than happy to talk about it. I could talk all night. My grandma said I should have been a Baptist preacher, because I could just go on and on.
I've got a question for you, sir. if I can.
Yes, sir.
I've got to be honest, since we proposed this, I have felt like that little flag in the middle of the rope when you're having a tug of war
Yes, sir.
sort of thing, where I'm, 1 minute I'm on this side of the issue, the next minute I'm on that side of the issue, and I'm just going back and forth.
Understandable.
And are you familiar, I assume you're familiar, you read up on all these things, you're familiar with the incident that we had recently in Arkadelphia?
I am, yes, sir.
And I mean, that's not something that's just written up. I mean, that happened, it was in our local papers, and it
That's
happened
correct.
here in town, here in our state. And one of our other council members' daughter-in-law was the responding paramedic to that incident, so we have a little bit more information on that than we would otherwise. Arkadelphia has a very modern non-BSL ordinance that requires things like chipping and registration and dual fencing and just a number of things if you have a pit bull or a pitty, any type of pitty dog in their city. And from everything we've been able to read, these people had complied with almost everything except the registration, and I can't tell about the double fencing because the gentleman had his dog out in his driveway at the time.
Yes, sir.
And it was the owner of the dog, and it was a pet, that attacked and killed the owner. And by the time the police and ambulance arrived, the dog was no longer mad and was back in pet mode and was just there and gentle and had no problems anymore.
Yes, sir.
It's these sort of things, these sort of stories that scare me, because had he gone ahead and registered the dog, that wouldn't have protected him from being killed. Had he put a double fence around his house and he and that dog had been inside his double fence, that would not have protected him from getting killed. The only reason he got killed was because he owned that dog. The only thing that would have protected him from being killed that day would be not owning that dog. And, I'm reading everything that I can read about pit bulls. And you're right, other dogs bite. Excuse me for a second. Other dogs bite, but it seems, and this is what I would like you to address, it seems that what I'm reading is that once pit bulls bite or get into a fight, they have more of a tendency to finish that fight than some other breeds do. In other words, they don't just nip you like a Chihuahua and then run away, or nip you like a Pekingese and run away. I had a Pekingese for years, and that's a vicious dog, I'm going to tell you what. But they tend to have a tendency to, once they get riled up and they're going to get into a fight, they like to win their fights. I don't know what it is. I don't know if it's breed, if it's the breed or whatever. But that's, and my concern is a situation like that. What is there anything to that, or have you read anything about that, or are they any different?
Yeah, I think early breeding, they were bred to take down bulls. That's what they were bred for. I can't get up here and say that's not what they're for when they were originally bred. But that doesn't mean that dog was bred that way. I will tell you that right now, Pit Bull has surpassed any other dog as the most bred dog in this country. And they're mixed with everything. They're mixed with Shar-Peis and Golden Doodles and Chihuahuas and everything. So, and that's another thing and I'll get right back, I promise I'm not avoiding your question, but that's another problem that we have as animal control officers. Because that's still at my heart, that's where I started. It is hard for us to determine pit bulls. It is. It is. without a DNA test, I can't promise you that the dog looks like a pit bull is a pit bull, and I can't promise you a dog that's not. 2011, we sent a Labradoodle, Golden Doodle, most beautiful dog in the world. We sent it to Connecticut back when we transported out of state. It got up there, 51% Staffordshire Terrier. And you couldn't tell it from the Golden Doodle you buy at the breeders. So we were sure it was 100% Golden Doodle. So as an animal control officer, that's a problem we have. And as a city, and talking on you have your own city attorney, our problem with enforcement is sometimes we have ignorant defense attorneys. No offense to attorneys, by the way. But they don't know animal law enough. Yes, sir. Okay, I'm sorry. I got caught
Attorney.
off track.
Yeah, I was attorney.
No,
I'm just
he's an
saying.
attorney.
Oh, okay. But on the defense side, when we get the social economic issues that we have, they don't get the best attorneys.
Right.
Okay? And it's our job as enforcement to prove guilt. But how do we prove guilt if we can't even prove the dog's a pit bull? Make sense?
Sure.
So, but they do. They have strong jaws. 100% they do. Do all of them go until something it stops? I can't say that's the fact, because I've seen too many of our dog bites here, and I've told you, we have pit bites every year, but since 2018, we've not had a single pit bite that took more than 2 stitches to close. A lot of those were puncture wounds, and punctures mean they bite and they release. So I don't have data to suggest that what you're reading is correct.
Okay, thank you.
Yes, sir.
If there are no further questions, I believe you said 2 veterinarians. Thank you
Thank
so
you, Mayor.
much for
Thank you,
taking the time.
Yeah, we have Dr. Matthews and Dr. Campbell from North Hills Animal Clinic here. Thank you.
Hi, I'm Dr. Campbell. I'm the medical director at North Hills Animal Hospital here in Sherwood. We do most of the work with the Sherwood shelter, so that's why they asked. But I've been a veterinarian for over 30 years. I've been in cities where, most cities have this. My clinic is back there along the wall with the Save the Pitties, Rescue the Pitties, Free the Pitties shirts. Anyway, so we're just here in support of the change to the legislation. Wanted to share that. I would say in my 30 years of being a veterinarian, my personal take, and I don't have the numbers, I can just tell you from experience of dealing with the dogs, because no city prevents the dogs from coming to the vet. So this doesn't affect my business one way or the other. So I've seen pit bulls my whole career, and by and large, they're really good dogs. I mean, the pit bulls, I feel like the laws are antiquated to some degree, because I think the laws were written based on dogs that were bred by, drug dealers and dog fighters, and that's not the dogs that we see today. It's not those dogs. And so anyway, that's my take. A lot of the stuff that I was going to say has already been said, so for the purpose of time, I won't just keep repeating the same thing. But to his point, I'm just as likely to be bitten by a golden doodle as a pit bull. So,
Are there any questions of the council members for the shelter's veterinarian?
thank you.
Thank you.
So I'm Dr. Matthews. I'm actually the newest veterinarian at North Hills Animal Hospital. I've been in veterinary medicine my whole life. There's nothing that I wanted to do outside of being a veterinarian, and I just want to speak on the change of the BSL. So when I became a veterinarian, I took an oath that I said I would use my scientific knowledge and skill for the benefit of society through the protection of animal health and welfare, the prevention and relief of animal suffering, the conservation of animal resources, the promotion of public health, and the advancement of medical knowledge.
Let's point out that the veterinarian's oath does not specify for or against a specific breed of animal. It's so vague that it can be assumed that it's for all animals, regardless of species or breed, and that includes the bully breeds as is defined currently by the breed-specific legislation here. I want to thank you for allowing me to speak tonight to protect and defend those that cannot speak for themselves. I believe that the breed-specific legislation is outdated and restrictive. It keeps great dogs from finding great homes within the city limits of Sherwood. Any breed of dog could be deemed as vicious and dangerous. It doesn't matter if that dog has a large square head, a muscular body, and powerful jaws. I've seen five-pound ankle biters that would rip my head off the first chance they got, and golden retrievers or golden doodles that would snarl, nip, and bite if they feel threatened by my presence. Regardless of any animal, any breed, or any dog in this case, it will bite if it feels threatened, frightened, or backed into a corner. It's their nature and their defense mechanism. Bully breeds, as defined in the BSL, are not the only animals that'll bite. If it has teeth, it will bite. There's been this stigma behind what a pit bull or any other bully breed is capable of. They were fighting dogs. They were used to make bad people a lot of money. They were junkyard dogs, used to deter people from walking onto private property. They were deemed dangerous, all because they were trained by bad people, training their dogs to do bad things. But there will always be bad people in this world. We all know this. It doesn't matter. It doesn't mean that there has to be bad dogs before they're given the chance to prove whether they can be great dogs or not. Pit bulls and other bully breeds are family dogs now. They bring joy to those who they love unconditionally and are equally loved as unconditionally. They're couch potatoes, baby hippos, land seals, and chunky meatballs. They're not seen as they used to be. So if society can give these dogs another chance, why can't the laws in Sherwood do the same? Changing the law takes away any discrimination against the specific breed of dog. It wouldn't emphasize that one breed needs the respect of understanding the body language more than the other, but rather all dogs can be at risk of attacking anyone and anything. Changing the law allows for bully breeds the opportunity to be one of the best family dogs in the world. So again, I ask, if society is capable of changing that stigma, why can't you guys? Thanks.
All right, is there anything else, Chief?
I know that there are a lot of people that want to speak, so I would just, if y'all have any questions of me before that starts. Okay, thank you.
Let's see, we've got Jim Davis, if you could please come forward. We've got Lori Jeter, Mark Weber, Scott Campbell, Sydney Matthews, Mary Poling, Laura Pfeiffer, Candace Bowles, and Shiloh Anderson. If you all would come up when you come, those are where we're going to start. We've got 3 minutes. These are the ones who had the Sherwood addresses, as we talked about, and if y'all will line up against that last wall, please. Please be respectful, and if you are in line and what you wanted to say has already been stated, we don't need to just continually necessarily hear the same things over and over again. But certainly if you've got something to add to the conversation, if it has already been said, you could then just say, I support or don't support, and then, move on for time consideration. So let's all please be respectful. We need to limit talking, please, so that we can focus on what our people who've signed up would like to say. The floor is yours. As you come forward, if you'll please give us your name and address.
Good evening, Mayor, council members. I'm not taking questions, Shirley. Okay. Not here tonight to give, my name is Jim Davis. I live at 60 Ridgewell Road. Not here to give you a bunch of data or statistics on pit bulls and how good or bad they are. There's plenty of that information out there, and I'm sure you've already heard a lot of it already. What I would like to do is share a little bit of personal perspective on the issue. April 22nd, 1987, I sat where you're sitting tonight as the city council discussed and then adopted Ordinance 781, the first ordinance restricting a breed of dog in Sherwood. The vote that night, according to the minutes, was 6 ayes and 2 abstentions. One of those ayes was mine. Although I stated certain misgivings about the aspects of the proposed ordinance and stated I didn't believe that the entire problem was the breed of the dog as much as the person who was responsible for the dog. As one person recently put it, we're regulating on the wrong end of the leash. There was considerable hysteria around that time, hysteria. There were reports of pit bull attacks around. I don't recall any local. But several cities around us had adopted breed-specific bans, and we didn't want to be left out. In the 37 years since that night, I've had the opportunity to be around and work with a number of dogs at the Sherwood shelter, labeled as pit bull mixes, and I've changed my mind about it. Some of those pit bull mixes I've had doubts about. I don't know how you can tell just by looking at a dog what breeds is in there and how much. Found that many of them can be just as docile and affectionate as any other dog. I've had the opportunity to work with a few dogs who showed no indication of being a pit bull breed, but were very mean and aggressive. It's apparent to me that any dog of any breed or mix can be made to be mean and aggressive. Those dogs are generally readily pretty identifiable and would be subject to the restrictions of the proposed ordinance. I hope this council will correct the mistake of 1987 and allow any dog of good temperament and behavior to reside in Sherwood. I'm going off script here for just a second. I want to address one other item I've heard mentioned last month. It said that if you amend this ordinance and there is, God forbid, an incident with a pit bull, the blood's going to be on your hands. I'm going to tell you, that's nonsense. No more than we've had speed limits on streets in Sherwood, and we've had speeders since we've had streets in Sherwood. Because someone gets hit by somebody who's not obeying traffic laws and suffers injuries, that's not your fault. Ordinance in Sherwood set speed limits on residential streets, I believe, at 25 miles an hour. Is it your fault you didn't set it at 15? Is it your fault you didn't have some kind of speed device out there to stop the speeder? I just don't accept that as a legitimate argument. And
Mr. Davis, your time has expired.
I'm done.
Thank you. Please step forward.
Back in school. My name is Dr. Lori Jeter. I'm a veterinarian at Baines Hout Veterinary Group here in Sherwood, and I live at 1709 Casey Court in Sherwood. I've been a practicing veterinarian in the Central Arkansas area since 2002, and to reiterate Dr. Campbell, I have daily encounters with pit bull types in the city. They are in the city, whether you want to admit it or not. And I find most breeds much more difficult to handle, including German Shepherds, which I own 2 of, Rottweilers, Cane Corsos, and Great Danes. Obviously, Chihuahuas are on that list. I don't think they're going to take me down, but they are on that list. I just want to reiterate, because I don't want to take up a lot of time, the AVMA, the American Veterinary Medical Association, has come out and stated they are not for breed-specific brands, as well as the American Veterinary Society of Animal Behaviorists. They're ineffective, and they lead to a false sense of security for the community. They have convened a task force, the AVMA, with a huge document on how to identify and develop legislation to address the problem dogs in a community, regardless of the breed. It's my opinion. Thank you for your time.
Thank you. Lori Jeter, Dr. Lori Jeter. Let's see, I've got Scott Campbell. Oh, okay, thank you. Sydney Matthews? She already spoke to you. Thank you. Mary Poling, please come forward. Thank you, Mary.
Mary Poling, I live at 10 Scouts Point in Sherwood, and I've already sent my thoughts, our thoughts on to our two councilmen. And I just wanted to say, my husband and I, we prefer to keep the breed-specific language in the, into the ordinance. And why it matters is, it's not the people here who have worked with pit bulls and that, but there's so many people that do not follow current, even leash laws, and can't control their animals as they are. And we've had the experience where we have a dog we adopted in 2020, and we walk her in the neighborhood, and we keep her behind the fence. And one day on a Sunday, I was walking with my friend, and I don't know what the breed was that came out, but 2 dogs came out of this backyard of somewhere, no leash, no owners. We screamed. I mean, I was trying to get my dog away and leave. That's what we usually do, but they wouldn't let it. We couldn't get away from these dogs. Finally, and I screamed, and nobody came. I don't want to encounter a dog like a dog that is out of control, and I would prefer to keep the language in, and I ask your consideration, and thank you very much.
Thank you. Laura Pfeiffer?
Hi, I'm Laura Pfeiffer. I live at 3016 New Kingston Court, Sherwood. I am here I want the changes to happen. I spoke at the last meeting. I'm actually here to give some data. I'm not going to repeat myself. So I was actually able to find out the bite cases that have been in Sherwood from 2020 to present. These were collected from the police department and the animal control officers. So since that time, we have had 36 dog bites. I went through every single one of them. Out of all of those, 3 were pit mix bully breed was mentioned. One case of these 3, it was a dog fight. Nobody was even bitten. And another case it was a family's dog that a child had woken up, and it turned on him. The child was not hurt. They went to Children's Hospital. They were fine. But of those 36 bites, there were other types of dogs listed. There were boxer mixes, German shepherds, husky, Catahoula, labs were mentioned multiple times, and a small type dog. Sherwood does not have a dog biting problem, and overall our nation doesn't even have a dog biting epidemic. According to the CDC, and these are hard statistics for some people who have experienced this, from 2011 to 2021, a total of 468 deaths from being bitten or struck by a dog. So that's about 43 a year. The odds of actually dying from a dog bite are 1 in 53,843. The odds of dying in a motor vehicle accident are 1 in 93. So it's a big difference. The breed bans are often a reaction to something horrific that has happened. And those things do happen. And we hear about it because the media, they prey on stuff like that. And we all know this, that the media loves to put things out there, and that's how we all hear about it. And they'll capitalize on, the grief and the trauma. And I do feel for these families, I do. But other than they just slap the BSL, there's other ways you can actually find sustainable
Ma'am, you have 30 seconds.
and humane solutions to deal with this. Just a quick study for genetic testing. I did a lot of research. I'm a physical therapist. This is what I do is research. Whenever you look at genetics of a dog, they show that pit bull type dogs are not more aggressive or more likely to have a behavioral diagnosis than other dogs. It also shows that if they look at the genetic specific, which was another study, 9% of the behavior is from breed.
Ma'am, your time has expired.
Thank you.
Next up, we have Candace Bowles.
Hello, my name is Candace Boyles. I live on 105 Green Tree in Sherwood. I would respectfully like to also say that the first people that talked took 17 minutes of our time. I am a pediatric nurse. I have worked in the ER and the OR. So I have seen the children that have come in with the dog bites. They're gruesome. Having seen that stuff is what Mr. Harmon expressed earlier. I have definitely seen kids be scalped. I have seen little sweet little girls that have had their whole face mauled up. I'm against changing the aggressive dog ban to not include certain breeds. I have personally seen the aftermath that they have on the children. I have grandchildren that live in Sherwood. I see elderly people walking around. It's just not acceptable to have a breed that attacks like those dogs do, and our community is at risk. While there are other dog breeds that bite more often, let's say the Chihuahua that she mentioned, they are usually less likely to cause detrimental damage or death. The pit bull breed, including mixes, are more likely than other breeds to lock their jaws and shake their victims. I know that we've had several on the news about the 9-year-old little boy. I'm not saying from anything from where I worked personally, but we saw the 9-year-old little boy that died. There was an infant that died recently. If you heard the story behind the infant, your heart would break. The proposed aggressive dog clause states that a dog isn't designated as aggressive until it attacks, bites, or causes physical injury to a person or another domesticated animal. Also, this includes wording that says, while not on a leash or under the control of its owner. If you decide to have this proposed clause changed, there would need to be specific rules in place before the changes took place. Examples include a 6-foot privacy fence with locks, mandatory licensing and registration with local authorities, behavioral assessments and temperament testing, leash and muzzle laws which should be strictly enforced, spaying and neutering mandated, insurance and liability coverage, enforcement of animal control laws. This is just an example of.
Ma'am, you have 30 seconds.
Last month, you voted on the fireworks ban in place of the reasons about our neighboring cities had similar ordinances. I would think that since we are a central city with the surrounding cities having a breed-specific ban, we would want continuity within our communities. I'm asking that my representatives and the board take into consideration the above thoughts. Thank you.
Are you Mark Weber? Yes. I'm sorry that please come on up.
Thank you. Good evening. There's a lady that didn't put her address that's more prepared than me. Can I speak for 40 seconds and give her the rest of my time?
We have.
She didn't put her address, so didn't get called. She's been here longer than me.
It's up to the council.
You have to vote on it?
No, but I mean, that's fine.
I can be brief. 80 pounds of muscle, tremendous bite power, tenacity that doesn't end. I've owned 3 pit bulls. You have to use a breaking stick to break them apart. I had 3, Flash, Sheba, and Hank. Flash got out, killed a dog in a neighborhood. Later on, a drive-by, someone shot Flash. I mean, this is the kind of stuff goes on when you have these dogs. I don't want one anywhere around me. I don't trust them. If they have a bad day, someone's going to have a bad day. And what's a citizen to do? We call the police. If they don't come, we shoot the dogs ourselves. Then do we get arrested for shooting a dog and deal with a angry dog owner? I mean, it's just the citizens have no good outcome if they encounter a pit bull. I'm done. Thank you.
Who's this lady he was talking about?
So he was letting me take his time. I'm
Okay.
Lindsey Johnson. I talked to y'all last month, but I couldn't
So
get
you've got
through
about
it.
2 minutes left.
Okay, that's fine. I can get what I need out.
Okay.
They say that a Chihuahua is going to do harm, but I don't see a Chihuahua taking down your size. Do you? But a pit bull will. A pit bull will take down any person in this building will take it down just like that. They killed my son in less than 10 minutes, ripped his whole face off. Y'all have seen the pictures, and I still don't understand why y'all want that in this city where there is a ton of kids. Where I live on Country Club, there is Sherwood Elementary in Missouri a couple years ago, pit bulls attacked kids in that elementary. So are y'all going to enforce that all elementaries have 6-foot fences around their playgrounds so that attack doesn't happen? Y'all say, yeah, there is pit bulls in this city. There's no doubt about it. But because of the ban, you don't see them. Y'all lift this ban, they're going to be left in their yard without anybody watching them. Because of the ban, the owners stay with their dogs. So he says, oh, y'all, the blood's not on y'all hands. Yeah, the blood will be on y'all's hands because y'all lifted the ban. And even the mayor told me she don't like dogs. So why lift the ban? I mean, it doesn't make sense. So I don't get why y'all want to lift it. I mean, I went to school with your kid. I mean, I know that y'all have kids.
You got 30
grandkids.
seconds.
So why risk it? Why?
We can't answer.
Yeah, because, I mean,
All right,
it's
thank-
stupid.
Thank you. For the record, I don't want to own a dog, but I do not dislike dogs. That's fine, great. Next up, please.
Are you marking them all?
Yes, I am. That was Lindsey Johnson and, oh, this is, I'm sorry. I thought you meant that. Next up, we have Shiloh Anderson. Please state your name for the record, Shiloh, and your address.
My name is Shiloh, and I live at 9797 Cliffside Drive, Sherwood, Arkansas, and the zip code is 72120.
Thank you.
Puppies aren't the problem. It's the people. If you chain a dog, any dog, and beat them, abuse them, kick them, they're going to respond back. Pit bulls, banning pit bulls is not going to solve this solution. Puppies aren't born mean. It's the people that make them mean. And that's all I want to say.
Thank you.
Mayor, I'm
Yes,
sorry.
sir.
Miss Sanchez, she is a Sherwood resident. She just didn't write Sherwood on there. She wrote her address. So she'd like to speak, if that's okay. I'm sorry.
Yes, sir. Ms. Sanchez, if you will state your name for the record and your address, please.
Stacy Sanchez. I live on Beaconsfield Road. I don't want to put my number, just safety reasons. I moved here 2 years ago from California. I wasn't even aware that there was a ban, and I had actually considered leaving Sherwood because, quite honestly, the food sucks. But once I found out the ban, I'm glad I'm here. I feel safer for my children, that I'm able to walk them outside and not risk. Where I come from, pit bulls run rampant. I want to show you guys this picture of when my daughter was 20 months old. She was mauled by 2 pit bulls. She was almost killed. They ripped off her bottom lip and part of her chin. They attacked my mother-in-law. I was actually unsure of what had happened, what the injuries were, until we got into the van. When she pulled back, all of this was missing. My daughter ended up in 2 medically induced comas after the first one. They had to wean her off. One lung collapsed, her left lung collapsed first. Once they got that, they did the treatments for that. Her other lung collapsed. They had to do leech treatments where they attached medical leeches to her chin to suck out the blood. If you see in that second picture where she's bald, they had to shave her head to get a skin graft from her scalp. And she was placed in another medically induced coma. A lot of people aren't blessed like I am because my daughter is still alive, unlike Lindsay's son. you know, but my daughter still deals with lifelong injuries because of that. She just had a plastic surgery about 3 weeks ago. She doesn't have a bottom lip. As a young lady, I worried about, you know, is she gonna be able to wear makeup? Is she gonna feel confident? And I still deal with this now. I was diagnosed with PTSD by a therapist because I actually saw this happen. And I was holding my 9-month-old son at the time, and when one of the dogs turned to charge at him, I jumped on my son. This happened 17 years ago, and that day will never leave me. I am actually hesitant to own any kind of dogs now because I have smaller children, and I know a lot of you have
Ma'am, you have 30 seconds.
Grandchildren. So I want you guys to think about that if you lift this ban, the blood will be on your hands. You guys had a choice. You know, think about your grandkids, your nieces, your nephews, you know. My daughter, she's 6 now, but when her older sister was attacked, she was 1 year and 8 months. She barely made it. And the doctor told us, you're going to have to start planning her funeral. And
Ms.
I
Chen says your
couldn't do
time
it.
has expired.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Good evening. I'm Tracy Mason. My name is on there. My address is 8214 Mark Avenue.
Thank you.
I've lived in Sherwood for the last 30 years, and I'm an avid animal lover. However, I am asking you to keep the ban in place. Today, there are approximately 240 dogs that are up for adoption between Maumelle, North Little Rock, Sherwood, Little Rock, Pulaski County, and Jacksonville. Sherwood has the 3rd lowest at 24. If this ban is lifted, there will be an influx of dogs. I want to leave you with my personal experience. My 2 dogs were fenced behind a chain link fence. They were attacked through the fence by 2 bully breeds. I called the animal shelter, no answer. I called the police. They wouldn't come out until I told them that I was going to have to shoot the dogs because I could not get in the middle of them or they would have killed me. Eventually, my neighbor heard me scream. He came out with a metal pole to get those dogs out of my yard. Right about then, the police show up. I'm thinking, great, they're here. No, they were there to arrest me to see if I'd fired a shot within the city limits. Mr. Harmon, you said it's like pulling a tug of war. Err on the side of caution. Thank you.
Thank you. Council members, we can open it up to discussion. Councilmember Harmon has asked that this go to 3rd reading next month.
I think discussion's always good. One thing that the chief said, I think he's absolutely right. There's a lot of good changes in this ordinance that go beyond just taking out the VSL. And I don't know where I'm going to land. I can tell you right now, I don't know where I'm going to land on the VSL. Because like I said, I keep going back and forth. And my arm's getting tired from the pulling. But if we decided that we wanted to keep BSL language could very easily be inserted into this existing ordinance, and then you keep the rest of the vicious dog language for all other non-bully dogs, and you'd have a much better ordinance than the one we have now. And I'm speaking as the person who helped draft the one we have now. So it'll be easy to keep this ordinance, this new ordinance, and still keep the BSL language. So that's an option that we always have.
I wanted to say something. I mentioned to the chief today that I remember when first year or so that I was on the council, Ms. Brooks and I in our ward, we had some people breeding pit bulls, and they were being sold to the fighting clubs, I think in Pine Bluff, as I recalled. Mm-hmm. And I said, Chief, I remember before this happened, I mean, it was blatant, the breeding and the selling, and Chief agreed that he remembered when that incident occurred, and it was like there was so much going on in those yards because of the breeding that was happening. And it was, the neighbors concerned of noise, and then they found out what the issue was. So I would think if we reverse it back, that could be happening again, this breeding, trying to make the breeding grounds for the fighter teams in other cities.
I had two things. Chief, I mentioned these to you, and I don't know if this is something the council will consider. Maybe we could send it before our reading next month, but two other things not related to the breed. I was not comfortable with the language that limits how many animals that a citizen can have. I understand there's concerns if there's neglect or cruelty, but this new ordinance doesn't allow for any leniency. I'm not comfortable with that change. And then I don't like that the microchipping is required. I think if we change the language to say encouraged, but I don't like that that is required. And so, Chief, when we talked, I know one concern, and I know that you're speaking on behalf of Chris. I understand that, but one concern was that a collar can come off of a dog, and I understand that. But when I continue to read, there's language in here that says that failing to keep a collar with such tag attached on a dog or cat shall be a violation of this section. So we're already requiring a collar and a tag that shows that they've been licensed in Sherwood. So my request to the council would be that we make maybe microchipping encouraged, but that just a collar with contact information in case the animal got out. So those are two things to consider for next month. You have something to say?
I think, and I'd have to go back and look if it's not in that the ordinance that we're looking to replace, it may be in another ordinance, but I think we already restrict the number of animals that you can own somewhere in our
We do.
ordinance.
It's 4. It's 4.
No, but there, in here, there's language, because this even says, our amended version, there's language that says you can request,
A waiver.
Oh, yeah. And that's typically, and I think the waivers were intended for breeders. When we did the waivers, the breeding animals, breeding dogs, breeding cats, and things like that, when we put that in there. But the restrictions on the number of animals is a anti-cruelty thing. That's to avoid cruelty to animals.
Sure.
We had a house here in Sherwood that had to be torn down after there were so many animals in the house, and it was just horrific.
But I do think people could petition, because we don't have the animal, but like when a grandparent or a parent passes away and, you know, their pet, someone has to take care of their pet, and you already have your maximum. There could be extenuating circumstances. I think that someone has asked about that on the number of animals.
Right.
Rather than having to foster it out when it's been the
Right.
family pet forever.
That could be an issue.
Great for an exception. The one thing I'm going to say this, and it's the only thing I haven't already said to Chief, is this thing of enforcement. We've heard 2 or 3 people simply say, we've got pit bulls in Sherwood. We've heard that number of times today, even though we have a ban on them. It's kind of like the fireworks. We were having the issue with the fireworks, but then you made a conscious effort, by darn, we're going to enforce this. And I think that maybe, and I'm not saying been lackadaisical, I'm not accused saying that at all, but if there's a possibility that we haven't been doing our due diligence in some of the enforcement of them, it's why nobody's catching us, it's okay, we can get away with it. And I'm paralleling to the fireworks because that just happened. So if we have it, whatever it is, I'd like it to be enforced for the safety.
Well, what I want to say is again, we have concentrated a lot on BSL and all this, and there's a lot of other things going on in this ordinance, and I had some people call about chickens. So I had a lady that she's getting chickens in her yard from a neighbor. So it's a true story that the chickens are getting into her yard and messing up her flower beds from her neighbor's yard. So,
You'd be shocked at how many people have chickens in the city of Sherwood.
I know. So there's the ordinance we have you're allowed 12 chickens in your yard. That's a lot of chickens in a yard, in a city yard. That's a lot of chickens.
Yeah, I'm not real familiar with the chickens. Yeah. Right, and I know that they are allowed.
So look, I'm just saying, we've concentrated so much on these other things that maybe we do need to read this another time, and we do need to speak with your animal control director, Chris Clark, when he's back in town, and so to concentrate on some other things also, so.
I think he's going to be, I think he's going to be back Wednesday, correct? So the one thing that I would ask is this, and when I spoke to y'all, I told you this, there's not, this is a comprehensive ordinance, it's a long ordinance, and I understand that, and there's obviously some controversial issues in there, and I guess what my ask would be of y'all is if your residents have expressed concerns or you have concerns, if you have suggestions and you bring amendments in, and y'all agree on those amendments to change the ordinance, the only thing that I would ask is that, and I'm not the expert again, so, I would ask that if you have an amendment suggestion, if you will, contact Chris and just kind of talk him through that so we can, if we know that y'all are going to bring in an amendment, that we can look at it and kind of see what that's going to mean to us from an enforcement standpoint, so to make sure it's doable.
Do you think we should, I'm sorry to interrupt you, do you think we should send those amendments to Mr. Cobb?
Yes, that would be great.
Office, give them to him, and then.
Yeah, and the quicker we can do that, obviously, the more we can go back one-on-one with y'all and kind of work through that amendment if we have some concerns about it and try to work through that. That way, what gets presented to the council next month will be the best version of that amendment that we can come up with for y'all to consider.
Yeah, and please visit the shelter, because I think it's, I was surprised. I couldn't, as everybody's heard, I'm not a dog owner, like dogs, not a dog owner, but I could not be able to go through and say, this is a pit, this is not a pit, this is a pit, this is not a pit. So I would suggest you all go and look and see, and if nothing else, I think perhaps y'all could look at some language when it comes to the mixes, because DNA tests could be really expensive, so.
My children tease me that I can't tell a Ford from a Chevrolet, so, they've got words on them, it's the only reason I know which is which.
All right. Is everyone comfortable with moving on then to the next item agenda?
Thank y'all.
All right, thank you. This will be an item on the next, it'll be coming before the council again next month. Okay, next up, we have an ordinance approving pay increases for certified police officers, declaring an emergency and for other purposes. We'll pause for just a second while we have people clear, and then we can, the floor will be handed over to Chief Hager. All right, if we could please cease the conversations in the chamber, and the floor is yours, Chief Hager.
Okay, I appreciate y'all. I'm sorry that I'm taking up the majority of the time in this meeting tonight, so I appreciate y'all considering this ordinance. So to kind of give the people in the room a little bit of background, I've spoken with all of y'all about this. A couple of years ago, the legislature did a across-the-board raise for the Arkansas State Police, and when that happened, a lot of the departments in kind raised their starting pay. This had not really been a problem because, everybody kind of stayed consistently in the same area for a long time, and that was kind of dictated by cost of living. Well, when the state police did that, several departments, in an attempt to stay close with the state police, they raised their starting pays up considerably. So I gave all of y'all, when I met with you, a list of what the current starting salaries are in the county for starting police officers, and currently we are the lowest starting at $44,945. Jacksonville's at $48,000. Maumelle is at $48,550. North Little Rock, $50,428. Little Rock, $51,000, and Pulaski County Sheriff's Office at $51,000. So when I met with y'all, my ask was to consider an increase that would allow us to be a little bit more competitive. It's hard to find police officers these days. It's hard to get people to apply, but it really puts us at a deficit when we're lower than, especially Jacksonville and Maumelle. So the request that I've made would be one that would allow us to at least get above Jacksonville and Maumelle. That would not, it wouldn't take us all the way up with Pulaski County, Little Rock, and North Little Rock, but it would put us at the third. So I will be glad to entertain any questions you might have.
And I would add to that, Colleen and Chief crunched the numbers. This is something that we can afford under our current budget. There wouldn't need to be a budget appropriation for it. Certainly, we need to, with each cycle, we've got to like start ticking that up, but we have to be, careful. Reserves are not something that you want to spend on ongoing costs. Those are typically a capital item, a one-time type of a thing. Certainly, though, we do need to do something to be more competitive for our police officers.
Chief, I think I had asked you, and you said somebody else had too, to look at what it would cost to go to the 51,000. Because my concern has always been that we try to stay with Pulaski County, because in the past, when I was on the Human Resources Committee, one of our problems was that Pulaski County would siphon off our young officers because they could compete in that they could wear their Pulaski County uniforms and work anywhere in the county during their off times as private security. They couldn't do that in Sherwood. They had to stay inside the city limits of Sherwood, which limited those opportunities. So they could make that extra money. So they would, Pulaski County could pull them away even if they were making a little less money. So if we stayed with Pulaski County, that used to be one of our goals, to try to kind of stay with Pulaski County. Pulaski County, I think, is 51,000?
Yes, sir.
Okay. And I think you sent out a email this week or last week, and that would take an 8.5% increase?
Yes, sir.
That'd take it up over $500,000.
Yes, sir. That would be the cost annually, not for the remainder of this year. That would be the cost annually.
Annually, $500,000, and we're in July, so roughly half that.
But right now, even if you were to hire these officers, for new officers, and everything, how many officers are you down? I've just looked.
12 or 13 right now. And then I also have a couple officers that are out on military leave they're not drawing a salary right now, but they're still employees when they come back.
So this would be spent immediately then, because some of these officers, some of these positions are vacant.
Yeah, so the way that our hiring process works, it's an extensive process. It takes a while to get them on. If we started a process with somebody tomorrow, it takes about 2 months to get them through the process completely. And then the class that we would be hiring for would be the January 1. I think it starts January the 6th, I believe, is the class that we would be hiring for now. So
basically, this pay would not even be in effect this year for the new officers.
Well, it would for yes, ma'am. We would start the hiring process. It's just, it takes a while to get this class they would start the academy in January.
Right, this is across the board, though. This is not just
Just for
for,
the, I'm saying for the
new
new, for
officers.
the new hires.
You have other guys already still currently at the 44,945.
Yes, I do have a few.
yeah, we would need to
Yes.
bring them up, but it's
Right.
everybody. You can't
It's a step.
just,
Well,
I
it's a
know,
step
but I'm just
system.
saying that, but the new hires, they would not be starting till January, the new hires.
Well, some would. It's a hiring process, so they would start, the majority of these hires would be certainly in the last couple of months of the year.
Okay. If I could mention something, Charlie and I were on the HR committee together, and in cleaning my drawer, I did find our minutes from June 2022, and that's when we did all of the reevaluations and did the step grades for all 7, well, however many steps there were. The
It's more- there's-
11 steps of the police officers. And don't be, this, at that time in 2022, and we've raised it 3%, I'm totally for us getting it up to the 48. I'm just not sure today that we need to take it to the 51. Maybe 6 months from now, but maybe not today.
at budget time.
At budget time, that's
budget
exactly
time,
what I'm
yeah.
thinking. Because at that time, step 1 was 41, well, it's already to 44 now. And, but our more senior officers are almost to 60,000. So I'm not saying that's enough, don't misread me that. But it is 11 different steps by experience, certification, doing some things, not having any write-ups, and on all those kinds of criteria that you implemented. So what I wanted to ask, knowing that, are we losing experience, or are we losing beginning officers? Or both, all the way across the board?
So we do lose officers. And for whatever reason, like Mr. Harmon said, the majority of the officers we lose to Pulaski County. And I can only speculate that is because of, they're off duty. I'm not really sure. The problem that we have right now, and that's the reason I'm coming to you today, is because when we advertise, so you have a pool of people that are going to apply for a police officer position. And in Pulaski County, pretty much anywhere you live in the county, you're within driving distance. So we have people that live in Little Rock. Little Rock officers have people that live in Sherwood, So we compete with the agencies that are within the county, obviously. The problem that we have right now is when these other agencies, their starting pay, when they advertise their starting pay and it's above ours, then people are not, they're just applying with those agencies. So we're losing out on some of those people applying. So if we have to, Jacksonville is hired, Jacksonville was down almost 50%, and when they raised their starting pay, I think they've hired, in this year, I think they've hired somewhere in the neighborhood of 25 to 30 police officers. So they're doing a lot of hiring. They're getting a lot more applicants than we are. Right now, we're testing we test monthly, and we'll have somewhere between 5 and 10 applicants. And by the time we weed them through that process, we're lucky to get 1, maybe 2 that are eligible candidates out of that. So we just need to get our number of applicants up to where we have the ability to compete and get them on board.
For that reason, it does not bother me to go to 51 now. I mean, I shared this concern. I feel like we're kicking the can a little bit down the road to go to 48. And I didn't even know about the issue you brought up about Pulaski County, but I would be in favor of going to 51 to try and get us where we need to be now and fill those gaps.
Do we still have the signing bonus?
We do have a signing bonus that is in effect, depending on the number of officers that we have. So
And so how much does that add?
the signing bonus is $5,000, but it's paid out over the course of 2 years, so
Okay.
it's, yeah.
I mean, I like the philosophy, I would like to be frugal on this piece with regard, I mean, there's a big difference in a 3% raise and an 8.5% raise, more than double. So,
So let me just say this. I feel obligated, as a department head, I feel obligated I have to look out, obviously, for the best interest of the police department. And I felt like this needed to happen in order for us to be competitive. But at the same time, I couldn't, with a clear conscience, come to you and ask you to do a raise that's going to require a budget amendment this year. And so I met with Colleen, and this was a number that we felt like we could probably get away with without a budget amendment this deep into the year. So now the next ordinance that you're going to, has got to do with other expenses as well. That wasn't necessarily about this. So,
The only reason that really this didn't bother me was because those changes happened, is my understanding, if I understood what your answer to my question. Maumelle and Jacksonville changed their pay rate during 2024. So this is like we're kind of reacting now because he's having a hard time filling positions.
Right, yeah.
Because they increased their pay after we passed our budget. So we need to.
And also, the state police are going back before the legislature already asking for another increase. And there's every reason to believe that these other departments that we're reacting to instead of being proactive to are going to react the same way. They're going to increase again, and we're going to be behind again. We're going to be further behind the 8 ball. And we're talking about, putting off 5.5% of the 8.5 for 6 months.
I did the math. I was just being cautious with the budget item to see what came through. So. Totally for the raise.
What says our finance director?
Yeah, she's coming.
Let's go, Colleen.
So, as we did run the numbers for 8.5%, however, that was kind of more of a, what would it take to get to that? I think we would require a budget adjustment for this year's budget for 8.5%. That's a large amount for the rest of the year in comparison to 3%. There are also some potential other things that could be affected in terms of, if you think about, as the salary scale is shifting and the salaries are raising at all levels, you have people at the top level that are making higher amounts. And so if you think about at all levels that's also shifting, there could be some salary amounts in other places.
So what
and I
happens to
haven't looked at that yet, so I'm throwing that out
our
there.
sergeants and our lieutenants and our captains, could some of these
And chiefs.
And chiefs.
Well, I know,
yeah.
he's right there. But could some of these step 8, 9, or 10, or 11 be making more than their supervisors?
No, well, all of these salaries are increasing together. I'm saying what potentially could happen is that you have, in line with maybe other departments or an elected official, where you have someone who now the chief's salary is much higher than.
What she's trying to say delicately is that the chief will be making more than the mayor.
And there could be
Thank you.
repercussions. And then then it's not just one department, you have the entire city, you need to look at all the budget adjustments.
So
Well,
are
and
you
COLAs
saying
and
that-
everything else at the end of the
Okay,
year.
So
Yeah.
maybe right now, we should just do the 3%. Is that what you're saying, Colleen?
I think that is probably the most wise option, especially going in through the end of the year, because usually during the budget time, what we've done in the past is kind of looked at the city as a whole. And so, there's also other employees in the police department too. And I think it would be most beneficial that we can look at all of our employees as a whole, because I know, city council historically has wanted to give a COLA to everyone. And so while this is definitely something that we need to do for police, I would hate to be remiss that we increase police so much that then we're kind of hurting for the rest of the city to not be able to give an increase that we would like to be able to do.
I hear you, and I'm more than happy to take your advice, but I want to state my opinion that what we're talking about, two different things. We're talking about concerns over, feelings and everything about, this person's making more than this person, and that's not right, and that looks bad, and everything else. And what I'm talking about is we can't hire enough police officers to protect the citizens of the city of Sherwood the way we think we should. We wouldn't have those positions if we didn't think we needed them. And to hire those officers, we need to increase the salaries to X. And, it's one thing when you can't hire enough lawnmowers and the grass isn't getting high enough. It's another thing when you can't hire enough police officers. And those salaries are being affected by outside forces beyond our control.
Sure.
Other salaries in the rest of the
I
city.
totally understand.
The rest of the city are affected, are largely within our control. And we do salary studies where we compare to what other cities are paying mayors and are paying, the department heads and so on and so forth.
Or like dispatch and communications in the
Exactly.
police department.
But, what we're talking about here is
The
we've
civilian
got to be
police.
competitive and able to hire the on the line, in the line of fire police officers so that they're out there on the street, and we've got to do what's necessary to do that regardless of other factors.
Sure. Then I would just recommend if we make an amendment for 8.5%, that we also make an amendment for a budget adjustment, because police department will be over budget.
Well, I'm fine with doing the 3 now, as long as everybody, as long as we're doing it with our eyes open, that in 6 months,
Yes.
it's not going to be enough. We're going to have to do it again, and in 6 months, you may have to do a lot more than the 5.5 different if the Arkansas State Police get another increase and the neighboring departments go up again.
So Chief, let me ask you this. I mean, you just said how long it takes. So we make this change today. So
Okay.
then when they come on duty January 1st, they're only going to be at 3% more. So then come January 1st, when the budget increase has changed, well, you see what, I mean, is this enough to really impact to get those spots filled before
Good
all
question.
those wheels turn,
First of all, let me say, this is a very uncomfortable conversation for me to have, okay?
But you got a gun, you're okay.
And I don't know that I can answer that question. I can tell you that as it stands right now, it is a problem that needs to be addressed. When I met with Colleen and we talked about this, my goal was to be financially responsible. We did not ask for this last year at budget time. When we started doing the budget in July, August of last year, that was approved, for this year. We did not anticipate that Maumelle and Jacksonville were going to raise their pay. So it just kind of put us in a bind. Pulaski County was at that last year. That's where they were last year. But a lot of the other agencies adjusted based on North Little Rock adjusted last year, Little Rock adjusted last year, and Pulaski County adjusted last year. So Maumelle and Jacksonville did this year. We did not see that coming, and we got passed. And so, this was a conversation that we had earlier in the year, and we started doing the numbers to see what we could do, and this is where we came to the ask. I felt comfortable that if I made that ask now, and I was cautioned by one of the council persons about saying that I don't need a budget amendment. Well, myself and Colleen talked about that, and we felt pretty comfortable that based on the numbers that we have now, that we would be able to make it off the budget this year because we have so many openings. To answer your question, I don't know. If we raise, this will bring our starting pay up to 48.6. The ask would bring it up to 48.6. I don't know what that would do. I can tell you that I know next year the state police are going to ask again, but I don't know what the fallout of that's going to be. I don't know. I don't know that they'll get it, and if they do, I don't know what the fallout will be as far as what other people will do. So,
I wanted to add too, in our conversations when we were talking about this, some cities, like you gave me the example of Benton, they raised up their starting and they got full, but then you don't get all the step-ups along with that. And so then you end up with morale potential.
Sure.
I don't want to speak for another city, potential morale problems, higher up in the ranks, which is why we felt it was very important that everything needed to go up, not just like a lot of the cities have done. And that also makes us a little bit different in that there's more potential for growth. If you come and be a police officer with us than there are with some of the competitors in terms of cities where they may go. So it's not just one number that's looked at. It's more than just a starting salary. It's also where do you go from there? What does your future look like? Is that stating it correctly?
That is, and so one thing I will say about that is there is an equal effect on being able to hire certified officers as well. So if there are some agencies like Benton that she mentioned, the way Benton did that was they sold out on starting pay. Now theirs is at the same at state police at $55,000, but what they did in order to do that was there's one salary grade for patrol officer, and so you hire in at $55,000. If you have a 25-year officer that's a patrolman, then he makes $55,000, and so I can tell you that's not going to work.
That's not popular.
And yeah, they're going to, those guys are going to leave because there's too many other agencies that will pay their, for their time, for their experience, and so they're going to lose officers over that, in my opinion, but.
Which is why, like, some of our push has not been necessarily with the person off the street turning them into a police officer, as it has been trying to recruit certified police officers because they can get in and start working right away.
Yeah, the best case scenario for us is to hire a blend. It's good to hire some certified officers because they come with experience and it's a quicker turnaround to get them on the street. The downside of that is you pay them more right out of the gate. And when we hire our own and we're able to train them, we don't, and it just sounds bad, but we don't bring bad habits with them. I mean, we train them the way we want them. That's correct.
Colleen, is there is 4%, I'm just splitting the baby, is 4% within the budget, you think? I was trying to do the math over here for a little bit, and I didn't have all the data, so.
I think it would probably be close. I think what I looked at, 3% for the rest of the year would be about 89,000. So I think
It's only
it
an
would be
extra.
probably in the realm of, I think it would probably be close, but.
And if it's not, it's something that could be
Adjusted
adjusted at the end of budget
Yeah,
time.
we could adjust it.
Then my last question, we've done all budget things as resolutions. Why is this an ordinance?
That's your question. Steve?
Well, technically,
Go
if
ahead.
this wasn't really amending the budget, which normally is a resolution, so.
It's
It was more of
ongoing.
a salary approval. I don't know.
Yeah, it's amending the steps, I guess.
It would be amending the steps.
Okay, I just was trying to make it easier. Can I amend the ordinance to make it 4%?
You could, sure.
I'd like
if
to
you'd
make that motion.
We have a motion by Councilmember Williams to amend the pay increase from 3 to 4.
Second.
We have a second by Councilmember Sanders. Any discussion? Roll call.
I don't think it's enough. That's my discussion.
I'm not saying it's enough, it's better than it was offered, and it lets us do the budget.
When I say enough, I don't know that it's going to get to the desired goal, is my fear.
I don't think it's going to have the desired effect either.
So, and then the other thing is, we're wanting to not raise it to the 8, so everybody feels better about not changing the budget, but then in reality, come January, after the state police have gone up, then we got to increase by 10% instead of 8 now and 2 then, or, you know.
Which is y'all's problem, not mine, but I'm still arguing about it.
But the other thing about it, I think when Colleen made the comment about the ripple effect across the whole city, I think that's the part that also made me kind of.
Yeah, because you've
I
got
totally
civilian
believe that
employees in
they
the
need to
police
be paid
department
more.
that aren't affected by this,
But
and,
if it's not having the desired effect, why are we doing it? That's
well,
my question. If
Chief
we're-
thought it was going to have the desired effect, which is
three.
why he brought it.
Well, and
to
even
us.
at the 3%, you're getting within, you know, $2,700 of the 51,000. I mean,
Yeah.
you know, and plus you've got a step and grade system, so going to 4 puts you a little closer to that, gives you some more time to really
they'd rather
study
work here.
what your budget effects are for 2025. And so, you know, do I think, you know, in my mind, is 3%, 4%, is that a stopping point? Probably not. But you're gonna have to, you know, look at where you are moving forward and make decisions based off of what's happening at that time, not what's happening at this time. That's my opinion.
You've got a motion and a second on the amendment.
Roll call, please.
Broderick.
No.
Wade.
Aye.
Williams.
Yes.
Harmon.
Yes?
Sanders. Thomas. Brooks.
Aye.
Lilly.
Aye.
The motion passes 7-4 and 1 against.
That would be the
For the
amendment.
yes.
All right, so, back to the drawing board. We have an ordinance approving pay increases for certified police officers, declaring an emergency and for other purposes as amended. That is the first reading.
Move we suspend the rules and place the ordinance on its second reading as amended.
Second.
We have a motion to place it on second reading by Councilmember Harmon and a second by Councilmember Brooks. Roll call, please.
Broderick.
Aye.
Wade.
Aye.
Williams.
Aye.
Harmon.
Aye.
Sanders. Thomas. Brooks.
Aye.
Lilly.
Aye.
An ordinance approving pay increases for certified police officers, declaring an emergency and for other purposes as amended. That is the second reading.
Move we place the ordinance on third and final reading as amended. Second.
We have a motion by Councilmember Harmon and a second by Councilmember Wade. Roll call, please.
Broderick.
Aye.
Wade.
Aye.
Williams.
Aye.
Harmon.
Aye.
Sanders. Thomas. Brooks.
Aye.
Lilly.
Aye.
An ordinance approving pay increases for certified police officers, declaring an emergency and for other purposes as amended. That was the third reading.
Move for adoption as amended.
Second.
We have a motion by Councilmember Brooks and a second by Councilmember Thomas. Roll call, please.
Broderick.
Aye.
Wade.
Aye.
Williams.
Aye.
Harmon.
Aye.
Sanders.
Aye.
Thomas.
Aye.
Brooks.
Aye.
Lilly.
Aye.
And there is an emergency clause.
Broderick.
Aye.
Wade.
Aye.
Williams.
Aye.
Harmon.
Aye.
Sanders.
Aye.
Thomas.
Aye.
Brooks.
Aye.
Lilly.
Aye.
The motion passes unanimously.
Next up, we have an ordinance assessing a 1 mil tax on real and personal property as a new millage, certifying to Pulaski County Clerk the new millage and the existing 1.3 millage to be levied by the city of Sherwood on the taxable real and personal property for the tax year of 2024, declaring an emergency and for other purposes. Chief, floor is yours.
First of all, thank you very much. That is very helpful. I appreciate y'all doing that. So I told a lot of you when I spoke with you, you know, it's a, you know, that was an ask of you, and I appreciate y'all doing that. But I'm one of these people that if I ask for something, I'm going to try to figure out a way to pay for things as well. So I realize that's a budget impact that it has when we talk about salary. Well, there's a couple of other budget impacts that we know is going to take, that are going to take place. One of those is, and I know y'all are aware of this. I don't know if y'all see the numbers, but you know the jail bill for us has gone up in the last 3 years over 400%. we used to pay somewhere between $90,000 and $100,000 a year for our jail bill. Now that amount has gone up to $400,000 to $450,000 a year that we're paying for the jail bill. We've cut that every way that we know how, and that's just the reality of it. I mean, we can't, there's not much else we can do. I mean, outside of not taking people to jail, and I don't think y'all want us to do that. So, so that is an increased budget that we really have no control over. The second thing that we just really have not a whole lot of control over is we are in the process of looking to have to merge our PSAPs. The verdict's still out on what that's going to look like exactly, how we're going to do that. There's really three options that we're looking at, and all three are going to come with a price tag that's more than what we pay now. So I asked y'all to consider this because this is a mechanism that we can fund a couple of those things that we know are increases in our budget. So I spoke to y'all about this. And Colleen's here. She is much smarter than me when it comes to the numbers as far as what the revenue will bring. This that we have from Stevens that I went over with y'all, estimated one meal would generate about just shy of $650,000 that would come into our budget if we pass this. This would come at the expense of about, on an average, $33, $34 a household. So, I mean, obviously for some it would be a little bit more than that, for some it would be less, but that would be the average. So our city council is the only city council in the county that has not leveraged any meals against the voters. So this was to me something that seemed reasonable, and it would generate some money to help offset some of those costs with the jail and this PSAP. So that's the reason I bring it to you for consideration. Anybody have any questions of me?
Also, our finance director wanted to
Yes.
speak a little bit to. Okay.
Sure. So, as Chief mentioned, some of the increased costs in jail bill, I did look up, 10 years ago, we paid $80,800. So that was our annual jail bill. And then, it's been slowly increasing, and our 2023 jail bill, or 2022 jail bill was $478,000. So it's really just significantly increased. Now, the daily rate in '24 did decrease a little bit, so we're seeing a little reduction, but that's just one example of showing you, some of these increases that we've been trying to absorb in the budget over time. Or, for example, as we talked about, police raises, the 8.5% increase for police for 1 year, that's $574,000. So if you're calculating that, and as Chief said, the estimated amount of 1 mil is just shy of $650,000. There's a lot of increased expenses, and 1 mil is definitely something that would help. But that money can also go very quickly, as you can see, talking about, all of the different costs that we have. One of the other things that I think is important when it comes to looking at millage rates and having property taxes is that if you look at our general fund budget, 64.8% of our budgeted revenues is sales tax revenue. And so there's not a lot of diversification there. The next largest revenue source in the general fund after sales tax revenues are our sanitation fees, which are $3 million. So there's kind of a gap there. And I think, during periods of time, even what I've heard just from like my own team, that there were some very lean years in the past with sales tax revenue in Sherwood. And so having another area of diversification to kind of hedge some of those things can really help with planning your budget and making sure that you're taking, financial care of the city. So I wanted to kind of mention those things. And as the chief said, we're the only city, one of the only cities in Pulaski County that hasn't leveraged any of that millage and for general fund that's allowed to be voted on by city council. We just have 1.3 mills for our library bond issue, which is going to drop off mid-year next year.
I appreciate this being brought up to the council. What you just talked about, the lack of diversification in our income stream, is something that I've been preaching about for years and years. It was my dad's idea when he was first elected as mayor in late 92, early 93, to swap the sales tax for the property tax. And at the time, of course, the city was riding high, and then not too long after that, I guess, we lost our Walmart, our first Walmart, and lost a significant part of our sales tax income.
And then Best Buy was right behind it.
Best Buy was right behind it, and yeah, we've had this up and down. We've had an up and down income stream ever since then, and we've not had anything level in there to help us handle those fluctuations, like you say. And even a small millage like 1 mill would help to levelize those fluctuations that we suffer with economic downturns.
Mm-hmm.
So I think this is an excellent idea. What is, and I think Chief had this number, what is the average charge to a Sherwood citizen for 1 mill on an average Sherwood house? Do we have that number?
$33.
Yeah, I think it's between 33
How
and
much?
34.
$33.
$33. $33. Okay.
Per year.
$32 a year.
33 and 34 cents.
Okay. Well, let's get it right.
You said one time that it changes where your basement is. The millage does, how far you can drop. So
Well, the
I
other
always
thing-
think about that.
Yeah.
We just have to continue, thank God for the legislation that allowed sales tax to be collected on online sales where they're delivered. So Sherwood folks keep buying from Amazon and all those other companies and have it shipped to your home in Sherwood. That's our sales tax that we get.
Yeah.
Or shop local.
And shop
Shop
local.
local.
Totally
We prefer
agree,
you
shop
shop local
local.
first.
But since we don't have some of the stores in Sherwood,
Sure.
Yeah,
Don't
so
go there,
that
just
that
do it
has helped
online.
really level set our income, annually by having the ability to collect those tax.
Exactly.
I would say that, I like the idea of diversification, but, there's also a point where, at what point do you have enough reserves in your account? I mean, we've got $17.3 million right now in general fund savings and certificate deposit. That's 45% of our annual budget that we have cash in the bank right now. And then we've still got 6 more months of projected income to get. So I'm in favor of diversification. What I would like to potentially consider is, do we do more than 1 meal and then look at lowering the sales tax a %? I mean, how does that offset? Does that bring more business? I'd like more information about how that looks instead of $650,000 that we can cover out of general fund today with really no extra effort, be a vote on on a budget issue, but what can we do that creates that? What'd you call it? The floor, the floor,
basement, yes.
Gives you that knowledge about where that is, but also promotes business in Sherwood. And if your sales tax is 1%, 2% less than everybody around you, that may promote more business. May not. I don't have those numbers. Haven't seen the study that does that. But I would rather look at doing some kind of blend, while we've got that ability, as opposed to increasing 1 meal and when we don't really have to.
So I pulled, the city and town that the municipal league has, they have that handy state chart in the back where they have all the sales tax rates. And I actually looked at the millage comparison detail, and against the sales tax rates in central Arkansas. And, as you know, Sherwood, we have 2%. And Maumelle, North Little Rock, Jacksonville, Cabot, they all have 2% as well. And they also all have millage dedicated to the general fund, as well. Some of them have other millage. But then, Little Rock is lower than us, as is Conway's 1.75. Benton's at 2.5 and Bryant's at 3%. So, really looking at sales tax in general around us, we are kind of in line right now, even though we are lower with our millage rates.
And what are the millage rates? How do the millage rates compare, just the immediate cities?
So of those cities, just looking at the general millage, where we don't have anything levied, Benton is at 2.8, Bryant's at 3.2, Conway is at 3, Maumelle, North Little Rock, and Little Rock are all at 5. Conway's at 3. Cabot is at 0.8, and Jacksonville is at 0.5. Now, Cabot and Jacksonville also have other, millage in other columns.
Voted in millages.
Yes, correct.
That, if you look at those same cities, we are the very lowest mills with 1.3. All the way up to Little Rock has 15.1 in their mills, on that chart that he gave us.
Sherwood has long been the lowest cost city,
Yes.
lowest cost of living city in central Arkansas.
Is it possible to read this and I'm saying this for a reason, just one time tonight? Because
I don't think you can get it done this year if we read one time tonight, can you?
We can, and that was part of the reason for bringing it up tonight, so that if this did want to go to 3 readings, this has to be done by September.
Yes.
So,
Yeah.
yeah.
Okay.
We take the millage ordinance downtown every October.
Right.
Yeah.
after the-
Yeah, after the
it could be-
September. It can't go to October, but that's why it was, and poor Steve, bless him, the stress that he endured, because he was like, I can have it for you in August, and I was like, oh, no.
That
We
gives our
have that. We
residents-
have to, this way it can go to the 3 readings. So certainly this can be read one time.
And that gives residents an opportunity to give feedback.
Yes.
I need to just add one thing.
Okay.
The discussions that we're having about where this money can be spent, this is just discussion. There has to
Yes.
be a follow-up ordinance after the fact of the millage that dedicates it one way or another.
Agreed.
You can either do it in the budget, and I'm not speaking just to you, the budget ordinance or the budget resolution, or bond council suggesting if we don't want to do that, that we have a follow-up ordinance that outlines it so that there's no issue with the citizenry that said, well, wait a minute, you said you were going to use this money for this, and now you're using it for that. It's transparent, and it shows
Right.
how it's going to work.
Because the
Good
intent, to be
clarification.
clear, is for public safety. So
So just one reading?
That was just
if that's the pleasure of the council, are we good? One reading. All right. Thank you guys so much.
Is it?
All right, old business? New business, Sherwood Court document destruction date. We need a council member there. What is the?
August 2nd at 8 o'clock.
August 2nd at 8 o'clock?
I'll see.
That's a Friday.
It's a Friday.
I'll be gone.
Hang on, let me see. If you can't do it.
Okay, and Charlie Harmon is the winner. He will,
Winter chicken dinner.
there you go. Great, thank you.
I have something under new business.
Yes, ma'am, go right ahead. Floor is
Okay.
yours.
I think everybody knows, 'cause I've said it enough, I'm with Keep Sure Beautiful, and we do Yard of the Month every month, and so we're always like nominations for Yard of the Month, and we've already, I think we've got our nominations for August already. But the main thing I'm talking about today is that we've been in existence for quite a while now, and our core group is kind of slowly but surely aging away. They've been in it too long, they're tired of it, and I'm one of those. So we need some new blood. And we meet tomorrow at 3 p.m. at the Bill Harmon Rec Center, and we need new bodies. And people think of Keep Sherwood Beautiful as picking up trash, but that's not what it is. It's supposed to be Keep Sherwood Beautiful. It's supposed to be beautifying the city, and picking up trash can be part of it, but it's much more than that. So if anyone's interested in becoming a part of Keep Sherwood Beautiful, we do want to try to revamp the program. 3 o'clock tomorrow at the Bill Harmon Rec Center is the normal meeting. There is going to be discussion on perhaps making the meeting times in the evening where more people could attend that might have work hours that would not be a good time for them to meet, so.
Right, and the group they came and met with me and asked for the city's help in revamping and revitalizing Keep Sherwood Beautiful. So I didn't want it to be said out there that I was trying to take something over. They came and asked for the city's help, so.
So if anyone has any suggestions on Keep Sherwood Beautiful or wants to be a part of it, please contact the mayor's office. Thank you.
Thank you, Marina. And just to remind you all, I'm going to do the announcements, but then we also may allow public comment, and we do have someone signed up to speak. Okay, so announcements, and I'll go through these as quickly as possible. We have Boots and Badges blood drive from 8:30 a.m. to 1:30 p.m. at the Bill Harmon Recreation Center, July 27th. We have the Sherwood Humane Shelter mobile microchip event at Sylvan Hills First Baptist Church. August 3rd, Stuff the Trunk, Sherwood Police School Supply Drive at Walmart Supercenter from 10 a.m. to 2 p.m. August 3rd, mark your calendars, that's the Arkansas Sales Tax Holiday. August 9th, School Supplies Drive at the Sherwood Pools, free entry with school supplies donations. August 12th, we have our Senior Citizen Luncheon. Those are always lots of fun, and council members, we always can use donations for door prizes. On August 15th, we've got the third Thursday in the Park dive-in movie night at Thornhill Pool. August 17th, Sherwood Volley Skills Evaluation at the Bill Harmon Recreation Center. August 19th, first day of school for Pulaski County Special School District. As I mentioned before, we have a person signed up to speak. It's Tom Brooks. I wanted to speak about Act for Sherwood. Council, is it your pleasure that he may be allowed to speak?
You'll get 10 seconds.
The floor is your account.
He put a tile, my gosh.
No, listen, I was told that if I spoke, it'd be less than 3 minutes, and I'll give that. A lot of you have asked a lot about the Act for Sherwood and what the status is, and I want to give you a little status. I will tell you that a minute ago, and none of you know this, because we text one another, their core group, and they picked up some 42 signatures in a area out by Miller Glen. Picked up 7 on the tab, walking in a different area. And so that's great. That's close to 50, at that particular rate. Now, let me give you some figures. I know that you can't ask questions, but I think you'll want to know some of it. One shot, and if we fail, economic equity in Sherwood is really over. That seems like an overstatement, but that's really not true. The growth in the north part of the city is very important, and it's not happening. And it's not happening because there's a screwed up law that doesn't allow grocery to sell beer and wine. And I think you know that, don't have to explain that. Let me tell you, right now we're 550 signers away from getting the issue on the November ballot. We're real close. It looks like we're going to make it. We turned in 481 today, and we have to meet this by the end of August. And as a core member of the Act for Sherwood group, we're walking 7 days a week. This is I think my first day off in like 14 days. I kind of enjoyed this, believe it or not, because I got to sit down. I've never sat down at that particular time in now weeks and weeks, and I kind of enjoyed it. And I'll give you just a little bit of brief information. Monica Treat I say, and her army are working kind of the center area. I think that was Monica's coordination tonight where they got the 42 signatures. I just got a text on that, as I said. Mary Cobb and Carolyn McCook, I think, I don't know where they are, Gravel Ridge or Gap Creek in that area, but they walk together and every day. And I think Tab and Josh are walking various areas that need walked. I've been rewalking Indian Head Lake and other areas. I will tell you a story, some of them I've told.
Tom, you got 30 seconds.
Okay, I'll make this real quick. I was walking Indian Head Lake and I knocked on the door and the lady said, "Oh, you've been here before?" And I said, "I have, but on this sheet I have a name of your husband that I haven't been able to contact." And she said, "Tom, he's still dead." And she laughed, you know. But anyway, there's strange things that happen. The only thing I want to do, here's where I need your help, and I'll maybe run a few seconds over. You guys have got to help, and you've been a lot of help. We signed up all your relatives and everything else. But now the number gets much, much more difficult because we're dealing with the same people that didn't sign, but we're also lowering that number from the people who have signed. So if you have neighbors, if you have friends, if you have enemies that might sign that, you can lie to them, tell them you're against it, maybe they'll be for it. That's where we need the help. And I know we're out of time. I was going to say some more things, but I wanted to give you an idea of what was going on because you've asked me, and so I got it. Bye. Thanks.
Thank you. Do I have a motion for
Motion
adjournment?
to adjourn.
Do I have a second? Who's the second? I need a second.
Second.
There you go.
Third, fourth,
Kevin
fifth.
Lilly. Yeah, Councilman.
I'll get up and leave in the middle before the meeting was over. No, I was. I'll get up and leave before the meeting was over. I know you do.